Welcome back, Martini Giant fans. This is episode number 106, which are two forgotten and unseen films by Denzel Washington from the late 80s and early 90s. The first one is The Mighty Quinn from 1989, directed by Carl Schenkel. It's kind of an easygoing mystery, comedy, crime, adventure in Jamaica kind of thing that is really kind of fun to watch, but has this strange, seedy, colonial underbelly that's kind of being described in there, which I think is also very, very interesting. And we paired that with Devil in the Blue Dress from 1995, directed by Carl Franklin. And that one, it takes place in the 1940s in Los Angeles, and is also a mystery crime piece. And it is really, really good. Which got some deep-rooted concepts of colonialism and racism. And add to the mix Don Cheadle, who plays a side character who is fantastic. And really makes the movie quite interesting and quite fun. This is really a movie and a franchise that never happened. It could have been really an incredible franchise if they had sort of played on to these two characters a little bit more. Would love to see what would have happened to them. So anyway, two great films by Mr. Denzel Washington. A couple of reminders, actually not reminders, just in time for the holidays. We have updated our Martini Giant Threadless store. We've added some new merch in there, some fun new things related to some of the things we've done in 2022. And we would love for you guys to be able to do that and buy them for your friends and family or even for yourself for the holidays. So go to martinigiant.threadless.com. Again, that is martinigiant.threadless.com. We've got some great new stuff, including a new t-shirt that's featuring Too Much Escargot. And if you listen to the podcast, you know exactly what that means, but it's a lot of fun. So, and I'll just also remind you that these podcasts are also available in video form now. They're on our YouTube page. And if you'd like to check us out on YouTube, just go to youtube.com/@martinigiant. Again, that is youtube.com/@martinigiant. And if you are viewing this on YouTube, you can click right here, and this will give you the QR code to join our Discord, or you can just click on the description below to join that. And that's where we have a lot of discussions about certain things, including things like the t-shirts and all the other things that we're doing. So go check those out on our Discord. We'd love to have you part of that. And if you are in the spirit of giving and you'd like to support Martini Giant for 2022, we would love it if you would become one of our patrons on our Patreon page. And that, of course, is patreon.com/martinigiant. But for now, please enjoy Mighty Quinn and Devil in the Blue Dress.
He's the most handsome person on the screen right now. I gotta say, it's probably not doing
it
us
is
a
true.
favor.
Yeah, he is.
That's okay.
He's generally the most handsome man on the screen.
Yeah.
I think that's
He's a
pretty
big
fair
deal.
to say.
He's a very handsome man.
Yeah, and particularly these two movies. He's
at
he's looking good. This is peak Denzel.
Peak guapo.
Yeah,
Peak guapo.
Guapo.
yeah.
Peak guapo.
He's peak Denzel, and and they're different peaks actually, because one is mid '80s, mid to late '80s, and one is mid '90s.
Well, no. 89 and 95, right?
Yeah,
No.
okay. So it's a
95.
few years difference, but he has a different tone in each one.
94, right?
Like the first one is Denzel in a wet button-down shirt, lavish pan up his body kind of film, and the second one is more like extremely well
dressed,
cool-looking Denzel.
Yes.
And with a little bit more of an air of confidence.
When back during the time when like zoot suits and stuff were starting to become fashionable again.
Yeah.
When people started swing dancing in the 90s again. Remember
That's
when
right.
swing dancing was a thing?
Yeah, well, that was blown up by the movie Swingers with Jon Favreau, and I remember so many of my friends went to go see Swingers, and then became ballroom dancers after that. I have a friend who became like a champion dancer
Really?
from seeing that movie. They were so into it.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Great.
it's
He's a great
cool.
dancer.
Does he still dance?
I believe he still does. Yeah, but he was definitely taken by it. I'd say it was pretty fun. I liked the music, so I was into it. I was still very much myself.
Swingers?
Swingers, yeah.
I like Swingers.
That's a good movie. Good movie.
Yeah,
It's funny.
It's it's funny to see Vince Vaughn so young. He looks like a toothpick.
Yeah.
And Jon Favreau like he's yoked up.
Fit?
He's really fit.
Holy
You know.
moly!
And
Yeah,
has,
Favreau let it go a little bit. But you know,
what do you know?
Vince Vaughn is interesting. He's taken on so Bob Einstein was on Curb Your Enthusiasm, as you know, he died.
Yes,
And so
sad.
they've
Oh, yeah.
now Vince Vaughn is now taking on the Bob Einstein kind of role
No.
in Curb
I
Your
like Vaughn,
Enthusiasm.
but Einstein's a genius, or was a genius.
Yeah. Yeah. Different people.
Different people, but there was a period when
Mhm.
he was just really great, really funny, but funny guy.
Bob Einstein?
No,
Vince Vaughn?
Oh, I really
yeah,
love Vaughn. I think Vaughn's great.
I do, but he dipped a little bit. I think once he was in the Google place with what's his
Yeah, no,
name?
he started to try to repeat a certain style of
That's
comedy.
it. He
And
didn't.
it played
Yeah,
out. It played
it
out.
played out, but
Yeah.
it doesn't.
He didn't figure out how to age with his comedy. And
Right.
but he's a pretty good actor, and he's been in a bunch of things that I've liked. So I like him. I generally like him.
Yeah.
No, I
he's,
do
uh,
like him.
He was in the one that was like the peak awkward, like cringy Vaughn.
Crashers?
No, Maid.
Oh yeah,
Have you seen Maid?
yeah, he's very funny in that. Super great.
And that was the one where it's like, oh God, if you just shut up,
Yep.
it would all be okay.
He plays the moron in that one, the talkie moron. It's fun.
Yeah.
I also recommend if you have a strong stomach, I would say check out Riot in Cell Block 99.
Nice.
Which is super fun, and also he's in two movies by Craig Zoller, Riot at Cell Block 99 and Dragged Across Concrete, with Mel Gibson, and
Nice.
like this will. How much you enjoy these movies will highly depend on how much you can tolerate everything I just said. Because they are also like Craig Zoller, like I am myself not a conservative person in the slightest. He seems to be a very conservative leaning filmmaker. And
Did he really? And so is what's his name though?
and Gibson obviously, and with Vince Vaughn and all these
and
guys.
Vince Vaughn is
And these are conservative guys. You know, I don't know if they're Trump supporting conservative, but they're very conservative guys. They're making conservative movies. And even though I am a left wing yokel, I will always go to bat for conservatives make the best action films because they live in a weird, violent fantasy land. And so they tell great violent fantasy land stories. Die Hard, fantastic. I absolutely love that.
Wait a minute. That was Die Hard was.
Oh, that's actually McTiernan, who for the time was very progressive.
I'm gonna want to make sure I shout out to BBB 3Viz is here. We haven't seen him in a while. Our good friends, our good friend from dialing in from Berlin, and DG Rainbow.
DG Rainbow.
DG Rainbow.
I think I know who that is.
So DG Rainbow.
Hello, DG Rainbow.
Come on and enjoy this stuff. We're gonna get started on the actual subject.
If you enjoy video games, I highly recommend Digi Rainbow's YouTube channel.
Digi Rainbow's YouTube channel.
Digi Rainbow on YouTube. Look that one up. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good playthroughs.
Okay. So we decided to do these Denzel Washington films because I had just recently rewatched The Mighty Quinn, and I said, that's a fun
That's
mystery.
a good fun movie, man. That's
Good
a really
fun
good fun movie. That's a movie that just disappeared off the face of the earth and nobody knows exists, but it's a really good little fun movie.
Right. And so to me, there were several reasons for it. One is we've been doing a lot of serious things that it's just been hard on me emotionally.
From Blonde on.
From Blonde and,
I didn't think Blonde was
Uncut Gems and what else did we do? We did another and Mulholland Drive. It's
some heavy ones.
Some heavy ones. Yeah, so yeah. And I know Eric is a sadist, so to him, Blonde was a really wonderful comedy.
It's Candyland.
It's a comedy, but I was not like it's such. Oh my god, it's so dark.
Yes, people had very strong reactions. It's an incredible movie. I love. I'm as if you can listen to our podcast that's currently out. Like I'm a ferocious defender of Blonde, and I think it's a masterpiece.
Yes, we just put it out on Wednesday. The actual the recording went out on Wednesday.
But I get what you're coming from. That it's not exactly an airy piece of cake. It's not like the British Bake Off show. It's good to have something that's a little bit breezier. And Mighty Quinn is very breezy.
Mighty Quinn is very fun and breezy, and Devil in the Blue Dress is also very fun and breezy. And it's what I also think is cool about it is that not fun and breezy.
Well,
but
it's still
they're
it's
not
like
comedy.
it's not heavy. It's
Right.
it's got a Devil in Blue Dress is a little bit grim, especially in
Right.
comparison to Mighty Quinn. In fact,
Right.
I would go so far as to say I think the Devil in a Blue Dress
Hold on a second. Keep
is
talking.
nearly as good to me as L.A. Confidential in a lot of ways.
Right.
Like I think it's actually a very intense movie. It's beautifully made, and that should be a very well remembered film that everyone should see. And then Mighty Quinn is just sort of like this is a good Saturday afternoon, like Denzel Washington being fun crime thriller, and it's really really good. And it's
They're
neat
both
setting
kind of
and really fun.
Yeah, Sunday matinee.
Yeah.
They're both of the directors are like TV directors.
Yeah. And
For the Mighty Quinn?
Both of them.
Mighty
Yeah,
Quinn.
because you could tell.
Yeah.
But the director of Devil in a Blue Dress is actually a very good TV director. He went on to direct a lot of really notable material, including some of I think Mindhunter and a bunch of other great stuff. He's also done a couple of great movies, like One False Move.
One False Move is great.
Yeah, so
Was he an actor
he's
in
actually
that?
quite good. He may be. I haven't seen it in a long time. He may also be in that, but he is an actor to start out with. Hang on. Yeah, Carl Franklin.
Yes.
And Franklin went on to direct. Let's see, he's done a lot of good stuff.
The Carl Franklin Show? No, that's Joe Franklin.
Let's see, as a director, he has directed loads of TV. Okay, so he did One False Move, Devil in a Blue Dress, and then went on to, let's see, House of Cards, Homeland, Bloodlines, Ray Donovan, Mindhunter, 4 episodes of Mindhunter. Jeez, Pete, loads of stuff. Can't believe how much stuff he's done, as a matter of fact. Yeah, so he's done tons and tons of good work. But Mighty Quinn,
That guy's a Swiss guy. But he's done some, Alf, things like that.
Mighty Quinn, by the way, is such an unknown movie that it doesn't even come up as the first thing in my search. It's not even the 5th thing in my search. There's Mighty Quinn's
Why is
Barbecue,
that?
Quinn the Eskimo, Mighty Quinn Smoke Shops. It's not even on the first page. I don't
Why do
know.
you think that is?
I really don't
It's
know.
a pretty good movie, though,
It's
right?
a good movie,
It
and it was
is
sort of
Denzel
a hit.
Washington. I don't understand that.
I remember it being sort of a hit when it came out. I went to go see it a couple of times when it came out, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Anyone in chat, Museman's here, by the way. Anyone in chat have seen or heard of any of these movies? If any of you guys have seen or heard of any of these movies, it'd be interesting.
This is a terrific Denzel double feature. This is absolutely great.
And I also like it because both of them are about the strong, very much point of view from a Black person.
Yeah,
Right?
it's true. Like these are really they're completely unique, not just like from a singular character, but an entire culture.
Right.
Especially Devil in a Blue Dress is a really
totally
beautifully rendered mid to late 40s Los Angeles exclusively
Black community.
Right. And it's incredibly well done.
Yeah.
It's probably the best I've ever seen that ever shot. It's really incredible.
Mm-hmm. And especially that time, right? Like there's a specific time that was important, right?
Yeah.
So it was interesting.
Yeah.
And then the other one was
and Mighty Quinn is a Caribbean, very light Caribbean adventure. It's basically it's an airport read kind of murder mystery.
Right.
It probably is. And there were some shots in there, it felt like heart to heart. I think
totally.
the Emmett Walsh, the way they set that up was like, God, that's so, it was moving, and then all of a sudden, but yes, I feel there's a lot of, it did have that TV vibe, and it did have the airport,
yeah, and these are I don't mean that in a bad way at all. It's a super fun thing. And
what I liked about it a lot was actually just the vibe of the music and the culture, because it was so Jamaican, right? And so it had great music, and it had actually some really great, like the opening shot of the woman screaming was just awesome.
Oh, it's fun. It's really fun. It's actually shot by Tak Fujimoto.
Yes.
Who's a great photographer, but he sort of he understood the assignment. he wasn't going to make it a grim, fancy, because he also shot like Silence of the Lambs, for instance.
Right.
But he wasn't going to do that. He's like, this feels like, Robert Stack is going to be in this movie if it were a different cast. Like it's going to be a light, breezy, fun, easy movie. And he really, really, it's so colorful, like bright blue skies and bright blue ocean and big, deep greens. And it's super, super fun all the time. Even when the movie sort of gets darker towards the end.
Yeah,
like
it's still pretty saturated.
It's still saturated and still
and
sort
a lot
silly.
of bloom on the whites.
And a lot of bloom on the whites, yeah.
Particularly with her and meeting when he meets with the wealthy wife.
Yes,
right.
But Mimi Rogers.
That
was Mimi Rogers.
That's hard to heartland for sure.
That is totally hard to heart. Yeah.
But
I love some of the characters in this were kind of like awesome in a lot of ways. Like, first of all, he's cool. Like he's just the ultimate in coolness.
He's badass in this movie. He's great.
Right. And then his wife is just like stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and then the girlfriend that comes up, she's kind of a very exotic and strange looking. But then Mimi Rogers is like, oh my God. I mean, it's just like
everyone's at the top of their form. Denzel looks ridiculously good in that movie. It looks amazing. And like what's really awesome, and this is true for both movies, is like they spend like
Ubu Pearl.
Which is Esther Roll, who's fantastic. She's a fantastic actor. And
wasn't she like Good Times or something?
She's famous for being the mom in Good Time. Yeah,
right.
Good Times. And like in both movies, like it's really hard. It's rare to see this nowadays. Like they both have these incredibly how can I say it? Like they achieve a lot of depth for their setting by having little networks of secondary characters that are all kind of connected, and you update all the time.
Right.
And so like they feel like big, deep settings. Like it feels like you're watching the third in a series of movies where you know a lot of backstory, even though that's not true.
Well, both of these films, and I think especially in The Devil in the Blue Dress, they feel like they're setting themselves up to be a series.
Oh, dude, these should have been both of these should have been.
It was also using a lot of like the traditional like late 40s kind of film noir setups, particularly downtown LA.
Yeah,
like that vibe. It's just a different. It's a different culture.
Right.
Right.
And so, but it's definitely that kind of the way they use the signs and everything.
Yep.
Even when they're getting in the car, you see the old sign and they hold on it. There's a lot of this cool vibe that people love that. I love that type of world, like the 40s, 50s kind of.
And
that's really, I think that was the whole point, right? Because at the end of at the end, it's like Denzel Washington.
We already know.
Denzel Washington, spoiler it, decides to become a private investigator, and it's like, okay, so now it's just going to be Denzel Washington in the 40s, and we'll make a whole series.
The Hulk is very much like Chinatown and
totally.
Big Sleep.
Yeah.
Well, these comes from Easy Rollins is a character from I think a number of books, and so I think they were hoping to kick off like a run of these movies. And
so it's kind of like a Philip Marlowe.
It's a Philip Marlowe style.
The black Philip Marlowe from the 40s.
Right, exactly. And then like they really should have done it because like
that's a great name, Easy Rollins.
Easy Rollins. Yeah, like he's a great. Yeah, it's fantastic. Man.
Yeah.
Like I guess we'll talk about Devil in Blue Dress first. It's like
you want to do that one? Let's do. Yeah.
Okay. My Mighty Quinn came first. We can do Mighty Quinn first if you want to. But it's just to go like off of what we were saying. Like that movie really like you could play that, you could intercut that with LA Confidential and it would feel like the same movie.
Yes.
Like it's the same flavor of that period of Hollywood. And it's like it, so it has like,
I thought it was Harlem when it first started. I didn't realize it was LA. They had a little bit of Harlem too. It had a head of it, but like the opening shot, it felt like Harlem to me. Yeah, and then I realized it's actually LA. So let's
I recognize an awful lot of that. It was just like,
we live not far from Country Club where we did where some of that. We were like, my wife was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, we know those Central. Streets. That was this in Central Avenue.
Right.
But anyway, okay. So 1948 is when it starts, and we find Easy Rollins is our character, and he is. Oh, and there's a lot of him narrating on top of the film.
Yeah, the classic noir style.
Classic noir style. Yeah. I was a little like, I wish I hadn't. I wish the viewer was discovering things as opposed to him telling us what to think.
Do you like that more or less than the original cut of Blade Runner? Which works better for you?
Yeah.
The director's cut or this or what is it?
The one with the sushi cut. The sushi cut.
I don't know. I mean,
because is it just a thing that you don't prefer to have, or you didn't think that
I think in Blade Runner, he's not necessarily telling us. It's not the same thing. But here, it's as if I felt a lot more hand holding from Easy Rollins here.
Sure.
The narration.
Right.
You think that was post after because they couldn't follow?
No. I think they were literally just trying to do a noir thing.
I think there's a couple of spots where they sort of
he comes out of the house after meeting the husband or the guy, the white guy that was kind of thin and nervous, and it was that cool interior. When he comes out, some of that was so exposition. I was like, wait a minute. But then I thought, wouldn't it be great if you just did a whole movie of just leaving a place and going, she thought I was just doing the whole exposition, and the whole movie is just like exiting places, like you follow him out and then he's leaving the property and he goes into a restaurant and comes out, and it's just like everything is that's the whole movie.
I blinked and then I blinked again and then I blinked again.
She has a sister, lives in Pasadena.
Well, that would be interesting if you could digress into other things that you can't even see. Like you're telling all sorts of weird backstory that's unrelated entirely. It just keeps on driving as they keep on talking about it. Yeah,
they did the silent movie years ago. It'd be the exposition movie, and it was
exposition movie.
Following people just talking.
Yeah, because I think that's the delicate thing with doing film noir narration is for me, I like my favorite cut of Blade Runner is the final cut, which doesn't have narration, but I do like the narration in the original cut. And the reason why I like it is because he's so laconic that he's basically a robot. Like he's just like nah, the whole time. And I'm like, that's a pretty funny inverted joke. Like he's a robot. He is a robot. There it is. Like
spoiler alert. He's a robot.
But I get what people say. Like it breaks. It's too meta for them to get into because the rest of it's so realistic, and then to have that sort of stylization on top of this, I think that Washington does a better job at it than that. But I think that some of the writing, like Eric is saying, like it leans a little bit on exposition, which is what you should never use narration for.
Yeah,
ever.
And I felt that when he was leaving the house,
right?
It made me laugh. I was like, God, they should just do a whole movie like that. So when you pick it up, there's something there, and I was wondering if it was like post trying to just fill in some of those it's studio execs saying I don't understand.
I think that Washington's a little less invested in making the narration believable than his performance on screen. So the narration, and when he's doing a lot of exposition, like he's not really he's doing a voiceover, but it's sounding more voiceovery than his actual character that he's playing. And I think there's a little bit shaky.
Problem when they were that scene they're driving. And he said, the all-new Cadillac Escalade, smooth, now available. And I was like, wait a minute, is this a car commercial? But yes, it threw me off a little bit.
But yeah, that would be the
Corinthian letter.
Like most of the Corinthian letter. Oh my god!
Like, wait a minute, sorry.
No. But in counterpoint, he actually does one of my favorite bits of narration in a movie called Fallen. Where it's another film noirish cop movie, but the narration is there for a very specific punchline at the end that is an absolute home run. So like he's not necessarily bad at it, but like it is the weakest part of this movie. They don't really need it, and they don't really use it as well as they could. I agree with that. Like they're building the world so well with everything else, they don't actually need that on top.
No.
Right. Okay. So he's in a bar. He lost his job.
Yeah.
And he's a mechanic. Not a mechanic. He's a mechanical
airplane because he was
working airplanes, right?
Yeah, so McDonnell Douglas.
Champion aircraft is what it was called.
Because he was in World War II.
Yeah. So he's a vet.
Good. Wow.
He was a vet, and 1948 is when it takes place. He was a vet, and so he has a house and a mortgage, which is very rare for black man at that time.
Well, and the economics of this area of town and are really forefronted in this movie. Mm-hmm. Like how everybody is constantly trying to find ways to make money he's like, I have a house. That's how I spent my GI Bill. And I'm really trying to keep up with this. So he is always like on the make to hold, to get more work and get more work. And when he is fired from his job, it's this, like it's clearly racist boss is like, I don't give a fuck. Who cares? Fuck off. And like there's like the guy that's always trying to like cut down the trees and the lawns.
That guy, why does he keep chopping trees?
He's going to sell this stuff. He's going to go like it's just like selling junk wood. But he's just doing everybody's doing everything they can to try to get a little something,
Right.
And like it's so constant and it's so interconnected that you have this constant sense of sort of like everybody's like paddling as hard as they can just to keep afloat. And that in contrast to like trying to be happy at all, just keeping up a universally sort of like upbeat tone, like the stress like really shows the stress. And you like there's even comments on like in the bar, where like he's saying like people that drink their paychecks away, are the ones who aren't thinking, this kind of stuff. Like, and everybody's constantly thinking about little bits, like small bits of money all the time because they have to.
Right.
And it's not part of the plot. It's just there to inform you constantly of what the stresses are.
Right.
And it's really, really beautifully done.
Yeah. The community building is very powerful in this as well. But basically, he's looking through the paper and he's trying to he's going through the wanteds, right? And circling things like you do in a traditional way. And then the bartender says, "Hey, I want to introduce you to someone." And what's his name? Tom Sizemore walks in.
And one of his best performances ever.
Really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. He's oof. He says, "Yeah, I'm gonna offer you some money to do a job for me." And
he is a bastard in this film, man.
Oh yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, just very dislikable, but comes off as, "Yeah, I got money. You need money. I can do things. Is it legal?" It's like, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
Come here, right? So basically, he offers him money. This plot gets fairly complicated as by design, and that's the fun part when you're trying to untangle the mystery, because these are both classic mysteries in a lot of ways. This one's a little more noir. The other one's a little more comedy. Has a little more comedy
but
involved.
You want to keep in step with his character, so you want to be like, I don't know, it's just like in Chinatown. You don't really. It's like you slowly start to
like,
think,
I shouldn't get involved in this.
That's a great point, because
like no ants, like just not everything's complete. And leaving the audience in that way is a great vehicle, I find, rather than it's like, what's going on. But eventually with Jack's role in Chinatown, you've kind of like, wait a minute, he was the last to know.
Right.
But here you're just kind of following along with him. Like, I don't know.
Well, in both cases, I think you're right, because like there's a sort of like inertia that they have to overcome. Like they don't want to get mixed up in anything that's going to be a giant pain in the ass. Like they're just like, I just want to do my regular everyday shit.
But they make it very clear. Like, by the way, the name of the bartender is Joppy, so we can keep that right. And Tom Sizemore's character is DeWitt Albright.
Yes.
Right. And so they get the point of view like, I shouldn't get involved, but then you see him absolutely love owning a house. Yes. Like being a homeowner, he's gardening. He's like very much being this. And by the way, he's single, but he's just, and it's a very typical California bungalow house. Like looked like anywhere in Burbank.
But they point out in the movie that it's extremely rare for a black person to own a house. Even in the area that he's living in. And so he's like, I am going to stay focused and keep paying my mortgage, and I'm going to have this house because this is like
this is my future.
Yeah, this is my future. And then he has to work harder than anybody else in order to do this.
Did you guys see that? I sent it on our Discord. Related to this movie, there was I don't know if you guys ever watch Adam Ruins Everything.
Yeah,
but he did. Did he Adam Ruins Everything about suburbs?
Yeah, it's brutal. brutal.
And it's like exactly
Racist,
why the
ridiculous
most
nonsense, yeah.
racist thing ever happened in the United States over suburbs. And this, when I've watched this movie, I was thinking about that. It's like,
this is basically what the subtext of the movie is about. Is exactly what's covered in that video.
And it's a lot like, in fact, Eric, there's a lot of, you're right. There's a lot of relationship with Chinatown, with the whole water and the moving, creating these specific districts where he is a black person, because he also has that thing when he drives through the white neighborhoods, right? Like, I'm a black guy driving through white neighborhoods, I'm in trouble. And this was,
yeah, exactly. And everyone, and I think what's great in this movie is that people don't just react to him in sort of like straightforward racist ways. That also happens, but just like
that absolutely happens.
He is, if he's just in the wrong context, everyone's upset. Like, it's like they give up the vibe of just like, listen, I'm not racist. I'm not trying to be racist against you, but you're causing problems by being here. This is going to make the racists unhappy, and that's going to have to deal with them. And so you can see this like tacit reinforcement all the time of all this bullshit. Right. And I think that's what because this is what this director happens to do very, very well. And I think he spends a lot of his time trying to show this in particular in the subtext of the stuff that he makes is like, it's not just like, there's fucking bad guy racist assholes, but the real problem is that they the problems that they cause, everyone else then has to deal with, to the point where we end up just reinforcing the problems that they caused, because we don't rock the boat too much, or else it gets even worse. Yeah. And that's what's in that video. It's just like to some of the video, the part of the video that for me drives me insane is when they talk about how public schools are funded, is like, if you have a public school in a richer part of town, it's going to have more money.
Yeah, because it's directly funded from property taxes.
Because it's funded from property taxes. And this is something for years I've been just like, as soon as I found that out, I was just like, that's literally insane. How can that be a public service at all?
No, it's you have more money, you have a better school.
Right. But now that we're in the loop of this,
and then they just tried shipping kids around from different neighborhoods to make that work, and that's not going to work either.
That also doesn't work. Exactly. No. So we're dealing with the fallout from racist decisions 70 years ago, and we can't extricate ourselves out of it.
Levittown.
The Levittown experience. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's basically the subtext of this movie. That is this is we're three white guys talking about it. So that's how beautifully this is how beautifully this movie executes this, that even three white podcasters can see the depth of the problem clearly in this film. It's so 100%. It's so well represented in the movie, and obviously anyone who comes from that situation is going to instantly be like, yes, of course, well, obviously. But I mean, I recommend everybody see it, simply because it's absolutely not represented in almost any other film.
No.
And I
think that's what I liked a lot about both of these films, is that it's like, oh, we need more representation of this. We need more culture of this, right? And I remember, it was funny because when I saw Mighty Quinn, it was my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and so we had a sort of a person that came every day to help take care of her, and she was this Jamaican woman who was hilarious, but she's like, oh, she and I talked about the Mighty Quinn all the time. I don't know why, because it was just fun. She loved it.
It's just great. This is a great movie.
Anyway, sorry, but it was part of me was like, I got to know her more through that movie. She was telling me about Jamaica,
because she's psyched about the movie. So
she's psyched about the movie, but she's also telling me about Jamaica and this and that, and so she brought me some rum. It was this whole thing. Anyway.
And so these movies are great at they're great all to themselves, just as movies first. Right. But the fascinating, the great thing about them, and this sort of sad thing it points out, is you see something like Devil in a Blue Dress, and then you see how little this issue, which still plagues us today, is
changed.
It's not changed at all. Nope. And we talk about it even less in film. Yes. It doesn't even exist in movies at all. And it's entirely papered over.
Because you imagine how many people would get offended by that movie like that?
Oh, it's just insane.
It was
And
like,
so, half
between the
country.
BLM movement and the
Right.
this and the
I don't
that
think
and
it's.
that.
I think it's really. I think in many ways that the people who are making the movies have infantilized like the subject matter. They made everything just
Like everybody reduces it to this sort of cartoon argument, right? Instead of like, in fact, the only thing that I've seen recently that really compellingly deals with this is Mindhunter season 2, when it's just like it's about a serial killer in a black community, season 2, and it's one of the most brilliantly drawn things I've ever seen on TV. I'm not sure if Carl Franklin was one of the directors on that. He might have been, but it's just like it so successfully shows like it's not simply there's bad guys and good guys. It's like there's this completely um untalked about, generalized, unfixed network of issues that no one wants to even approach, that keeps it unchanged. And that's why we keep on having the same problem over and over again. It's not just like there's one racist bad guy and then we overcome that dude and everything's fine. Like these are endemic, like very deeply rooted problems in every aspect of government, and they're almost impossible to overcome without really attending to it, and no one wants to because it's too hard. And that's why we have like the public school problem that we do, just because like to tackle it means like, what are you going to do? Go after the fucking teachers union now? That's a whole other thing. Like it's a disaster. And so like that's
I went to a
the
French school. That's
exactly.
was my solution. My solution. It's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So they go back. So he. Sorry, we're still at the very beginning of the movie. We haven't gone too far. But he basically, his assignment is to find this woman named Daphne Monet. And he said that she hangs out at a place called the Jute Joint, which is on Central Avenue. So he goes to this bar, which is kind of an illegal speakeasy type bar, right? There's a woman who's heading it there, and it just looks like a storefront. And there's a guy who's like, I want to go upstairs. And I was like, there's nothing upstairs. And it's this bouncer character there, who his name is Junior Fournet. And so he kicks out the white guy from the place. And then he asks for a cigarette, or Denzel Washington or Easy asks for a cigarette, and he says, you're still smoking those Mexican cigarettes. They're gross or whatever, right? But then they go upstairs. Zapatos, right? And so it says, then they go upstairs and they sit down to have a drink. He meets a friend of his named Dupre, who's a big guy, and has his girlfriend there who's named Coretta James, who's really cool. Like she's an interesting character.
Their relationship is fantastic. It's absolutely it's hysterical and sad and
very
beautiful.
sad.
Yeah, it's really,
sad.
really great.
Yeah, and so it turns out. By the way, the night has gone for a while. Dupre is drunk, passed out at the table. So it's really just Easy and Coretta having a conversation. And we find out that she is a confidant of Daphne, right? Mm-hmm. So Easy wants to know more about Daphne because he's supposed to get $100 for getting information about her, right? Just find out some information.
In a day when $100 was quite fair.
It was a lot of money. Yeah. Especially when you're out of work.
Yeah.
He could probably pay his mortgage. His mortgage was probably $50.
Yeah, exactly.
You're probably right about that. Yeah.
So he ends up taking both Dupre and Coretta back to her place. Dupre is passed out. She then starts to make the moves on Denzel.
Right. Like her guy's in the next room.
Her boyfriend is passed out.
Yeah, it's funny. But like there's a sort of awesome
weirdness to this.
Yeah, like there's a weird sadness to this where she's just like there's like you can tell that this goes on all the time for her, right? And she's just like, like you can see the state that the dude is in. She makes a joke earlier about just like, he used to stay up till the cock crowed, and now the cock don't crow too much anymore.
Right.
And just sort of like she cares about him a lot, but you can see the toll that his whole life situation is taken on him, and now he's just a drunk that passes out early, and she hasn't gotten laid in, months,
Right.
and so she's just like, here's easy, and I'm, Denzel Washington, you
Right.
wouldn't hit on Denzel Washington, but
Right.
there's a lot of like, it's not just like she's like being cheap, it's just like she's a very lonely person,
She's very lonely.
and the reasoning,
but also
for
she's
her,
very smart. Like
she's very yes, yeah,
opportunistic.
yeah. And that's the thing, is like everything about the relationship between her boyfriend Easy and her is like, what's really attractive about Easy is that, unlike her boyfriend, like Easy is working very hard to try to stay above the line of that sadness. He has to work extra hard to do it, just like she does. And now, because like she's doing that, she's the one who gets the fucking job at the phone company. Like it's amazing how much I know about this character. Like she gets this job at the phone company, right? And like where her boyfriend, can't get a job. And so she's supporting that, both of them, and like, here's Easy trying to get work, and he even makes a joke like, are they hiring any men at the phone company these days? This kind of thing. And all the other guys laugh it off, and you can kind of like, you can say like, Denzel's like, I'd probably take that gig, actually. Like, I will take anything. I need to keep on making money. And so like, it's the complexity of the situation is what creates the background of their characters in that moment. So it's both really sort of funny and it's sad, but it's sad in a way that exposes the setting they live in. And it's just like, that's the kind of stuff. I was going to bring this up earlier with Chinatown, is like, Chinatown and all the great noirs aren't just about like a great crime. They're about the person, like a single person, versus a city. Like, it's the entirety of the environment. Chinatown, the crime of Chinatown isn't just John Huston. The crime of Chinatown is Los Angeles. Like, it's the whole fucking thing, right? And that's what they get so right in Devil in a Blue Dress, is like, the actual crime that is going on, the literal crime that's happening, is just a byproduct of the large scale crime of the way that people are forced to live.
Right.
And that's the incredible, delicate beauty of how this movie is built.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And yeah, it's true. You said, like, spoiler. Well, of course, the whole thing's a spoiler. Yeah. But Coretta's she's not around for very long. And yet we know so much.
Last scene. This is last scene.
We know her. We know her so well somehow, right? Yeah. And so I think you're absolutely right. Like, the character is really rich for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, she does have, sex with him in a very interesting sex scene. And Denzel's worried that the very big guy is going to wake up at some point.
He's a big burly dude, it's just like, and the thing is, like, she's like, I mean, Denzel looks great, obviously, but like, she's not even like a classic. She's not like, mid 90s sexy actor. Like, she is a very realistic looking person.
She does. Yeah, she's very real.
And where you're just like, everything about it feels like you can see that this is a terrible idea, but you can see also why it's happening. And it's funny, and it's immediately funny. He's trying to like get information from her, and she's like it's not like they're in love. It's just that they both need something from the other.
That's right.
And then ultimately, like,
she wants sex and he wants information.
He wants information, right? And like in the end, like after all that, like he stays all night, like and he's all super hungover. She still charges him $10 for the info.
Yeah,
which is hysterical. It's not for the sex. It's like, give me $10 and I'll let you know where Daphne is.
So she finds out that Daphne has been involved with a gangster named Frank Green, and so he calls Albright. Albright arranges to cut to a meeting at the Malibu Pier, right? This was an interesting scene again. So he goes to the Malibu Pier, which is kind of not a neighborhood where you see a lot of black people. Let's just put it that way. And he is immediately confronted by young white racist guys who, tell him he's not in the right place. At which point, what's his name? Dupre shows up and or DeWitt, sorry.
Yep.
DeWitt shows up and threatens the racist guys in a very disturbing way, like to the point where like you're kind of like, oh, I'm glad he's defending him, but at the same point, I'm like, whoa,
Dude. Right?
Yeah, this is when you Tom Sizemore.
Everything about that scene is magnificent. From he's like that Denzel is out there in the first place. This is the scene I was thinking of. It's just like the fact that he's there is just upsetting to people. Like it's just upsetting.
All he's doing is just standing there on the pier.
People aren't trying
minding
to be
his own business,
minding his own fucking business,
looking the other way, like I can't get into this.
and
he's
everyone's
so way ahead. That's the first time you think he's really smart. You look at him the way he's just like, I know where this is going.
Yeah, he knows. He knows the whole fucking thing. Like he can see it coming a mile away, right? And when the woman walks up and starts talking to him, the look on his face is, "Fuck." Like he's just like, I know what happens. I know exactly what happens out of this. You know, he's gonna be nice. He's gonna be nice. And like the implied backstory with her, like it's like how can I say it? Like
with her, with who?
With the girl, with the white girl.
With Daphne.
No, not with Daphne. With the white girl at the pier, the one who the boys are with, right?
Right.
Like
that's right. He was talking to some white girl.
He's talking to this white girl, and the thing is, like, he doesn't want to talk to her. She's like, "I'm going to talk to you."
Him.
Right. And like, you can see the look on his face, like, this is just going to be trouble. Like, she may have the best of intentions or whatever it is, but like, I'm just going to keep my distance and answer things vaguely and talk until she goes away, because I don't want to cause any problems or fight with her. But I'm just going to be here. That's it, and then she'll leave. But then her boyfriend, whatever, show up. But like the background that is implied with her isn't like she's some non-racist waif who's like, she's a visionary, progressive person who's going to go talk to a black man. Like she knows what she's fucking doing. She's doing this.
Trying to get her boyfriend angry.
She's trying to get her boyfriend angry. Like, and she's thinking to herself, like, see, I'm a progressive person. I talk to black men. Right. And so I'm going to do that. And subconsciously, clearly, she's just like, and of course, my boyfriend's going to see that. And then we're going to have a fight about it. And he's going to look like an asshole because this dude's going to beat him up. Like, that's what's going on in her mind. And you can see it in her eyes the whole fucking time. Right. She's waiting for the boyfriend and his idiot friends to show up. They do. Denzel's like, here it is. Here's the thing that I knew was going to have happen. And the only thing he fucking did was stand at the pier. This is it, and everything is just happening. It's it's so stupid, right? And then when DeWitt shows up, because these dudes are gonna beat the shit out of Washington, like DeWitt shows up and pulls a gun on these dudes, right? And doesn't just pull a gun to stop them from beating him up. He pulls a gun on them and makes one of them kneel and says, "Blow Denzel." Like, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is this guy about? Right. And Washington's like, stop this immediately. Like, I don't want any part of this. Stop.
Right.
And DeWitt beats the kid anyway, and they go running, and he's like, yeah, well, before they call the cops, let's get out of here. And you're like, this dude is a bad man. He's not saving Denzel because he's like, I'm gonna protect him from these racists. Like, he's a racist also, and he thinks this is funny. It's just like, I'm just gonna manipulate the scene because it's hysterical to me. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, and I love Sizemore anyway. He shows up and does a good job as Tom Sizemore and whatever he is, and Heat, whatever.
Right.
But this is a golden bad guy.
He's a really good bad guy.
Performances. Absolutely.
Really good bad guy in this, for sure. All right, so Easy does end up telling him about Green, and then DeWitt gives him another payment to continue his search. So now he's like, keeps him on the leash, right? Keeps him tied. So then, now as you start going through this, I feel worse and worse for Denzel.
Oh, dude, it's just a fucking.
So he goes home, right, to his house, which is his haven, right, and he is arrested by the LAPD.
Who were all thugs.
Immediately, they're thugs. They arrest him without a warrant. You know, they don't say anything, but they basically said that they find out that Coretta was murdered, right? And they
they instantly suspect him,
right,
because he's the black guy that was there.
right.
Like that's just it. Like, well, you were in the
That's
neighborhood,
pretty
so
much it,
we're just
yeah.
gonna pin this on you. That's what's gonna happen.
Even though she's African American, they're going to just pin it on him.
Yeah,
Right.
that's just what's up.
I never figured out how did they pick his name out of the hat? Who said something?
Like, I think that it's convenient. He's just the most convenient target here.
I think they probably figured out that they left the place together.
Right.
Well, who saw them? Because he left
Because
early. He left the bar.
He left
with
with them,
right.
and So
like if they're gonna pick on anybody, they're gonna pick on, like, it's just like he's the convenient one. Let's hang it on him and then call it a day.
Right.
Is basically there.
It's easy to do.
Yeah.
So they beat him up while interrogating him, but they eventually release him because they don't have anything on him.
Right.
He's just walking down the street. As he's walking down the street, this huge ass limo shows up.
Right.
This huge ass limo shows up, and the driver tells him, get in. He's like, "What? No, no."
Yeah, dude. Can we actually back up for 1 second? There's one thing I want to call out. During the investigation, no, the interrogation. Right. The cops are screaming out. One's beating him, like just beating on him, and and Denzel snaps and instantly overtakes the dude and beats him, like beats on him really fast. And then you can see him go, "What the fuck am I doing?" and before even the gun is out, like the other cop has got his gun out. Like Denzel's like, I made a giant mistake. I'm backing out of this immediately. I just lost my shit. But it's just like you can see the rage is so huge, and he has to contain it all the time
because he'll get killed.
Because he'll get killed. Like that's just what will happen. And they basically tell him that, like, we solve this by shooting you in the head and dumping you out back. Like that's how this case gets solved, And I'm not going to say the phrase, but Denzel has a great phrase for what this game is, and which is a variation on sort of cowboys and Indians, and that's how he feels about the whole situation. And it's so concisely horrific that when he just gets back on the street, you can see it's just like, well, that's how that goes all the time. Right. And he just wraps it back up.
That's just the way things are.
That's the way it is.
Forget about it. It's Chinatown.
Exactly.
Basically, you just got to accept it.
Right.
Everything.
And then the limo shows up.
And then the limo shows up.
As if his night's not bad enough.
I got to say thanks for BBB for joining us today. I know you got to go because it's probably late, but you can watch the rest of this.
Thanks for coming by.
But thanks for stopping by for a little bit. Okay. Bye-bye. So the next thing that happens, this limo shows up. The driver tries to tell him to get in, but the guy says no, as I would, right? And it's in a tunnel sometime downtown LA.
No, it's the 7th Street Bridge.
It's the 7th. I was like, I was on that bridge. Yes, the
7th Street Bridge. Yeah. Right? They're right. It's in the 7th Street Bridge, and then he gets in, and the limo is like a driver, and then everything else has curtains around it, so you can't really see in it. Yeah. And then you get in.
That's how I first met you, though, Chris.
I know,
when
it was
I
weird.
Was working,
were you that young as the kid in that scene?
And
That's
I was
weird.
like, you're like, get in. I want to tell you about CG. I was like, what?
I don't know. I've heard bad things.
No. You want to start with UVing? You want to teach a little about UV?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah. You need a job? Yeah.
You want a roto?
Yes. So. Nobody wants to roto, son. Don't say yes.
He finally the guy convinced him to get in. Says, if I was going to kill you, I would have killed you earlier. Why don't you just get in to someone who wants to talk to you? Gets in there. He finds this guy named Terrell, who is in there. And Terrell has a young boy that's with him that he says is his adopted son. And then he says, why don't you go hang out with the driver in the front, right? So Terrell starts to talk about it. So now what we figured out is a couple things. Daphne is involved with, there's two candidates for the mayor, governor, what was it?
Mayor,
right?
Mayoral race coming up.
Terrell, and then what's the other guy's name? I'm trying to remember.
Hayes.
What's that?
Hayes. I think it's Hayes.
Hayes?
There's two guys running for mayor.
Right? Two guys, right?
One of them is in the car.
One of them is in a car.
The other is, I think, called Hayes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Something
think
like
so. I think so. We'll get
Todd something.
Todd something. Yes.
Yeah, I believe it's Todd something.
Todd, was it Todd McGee? No. That's
anyway, the other guy. Well,
the other guy.
No.
Sorry. And so he's basically saying that that Daphne was involved with the other guy, and find out that that's what was going on. And then he's trying to basically find what was he trying to do? Terrell was trying to convince him about something.
Oh, let me think. Hang on for a second.
Terrell? Which guy?
Yeah, the guy, the guy in the car with the kid.
Oh, because he found out he was looking for Jennifer Beals.
Right.
Because he knows that she has the photos.
Right.
And,
Well, yeah, we haven't got to the
we don't know about the
We don't
photos
know
yet.
about
But
the photos yet.
nobody knows, but I'm saying that's his motivation.
Yeah.
He had heard that
he wants to know where
Jennifer
Beals
is.
Who's Daphne?
Daphne.
Right.
So he's like, you're looking for somebody. I can make it worth your while if you help me, type of thing.
That's what it was. Okay, that's right. So basically, everyone's looking for Daphne.
Which confuses Denzel even more.
Yeah, everyone's looking for her.
No, thank you.
Right. Okay, so then he eventually he finds her. Where does he find her? That's right.
She calls him.
That's right. She calls him.
Yes.
That's right. So after the number credit, he receives a call from Daphne, right? And meets with her at a hotel. She asks she asks him to drive to meet someone named Richard McGee. And it turns out it's the guy from the club that was that was kicked out of the club when we were first started there, right? So they go see him at a house. I guess it's supposed to be on Laurel Canyon somewhere, right?
Right.
Which is the Hollywood Hills for those of you who are not familiar. And then when they get there, they find McGee. They find the guy dead, right? And not only that, but they find the Mexican cigarette pack on the ground, right? There you go. So that's very interesting. So then Daphne freaks out and flees the house and drives off with the car, leaving Easy stranded in a very white neighborhood.
Right.
With a murder scene again.
Yes. Yeah. It's Laurel Canyon. Yeah, that's a very different part of town from where Easy lives.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So then finally.
So yeah, and also the guy who I don't know if you said the guy who is dead. You see a little ghost of an image, of who he is, and he's a guy that was pestering, the bar owner. Right
at the beginning, saying he wanted to go upstairs.
Right. Yeah. So just to make sure, if you said it, I missed it, but yes, that's the important part.
Anyway, so Easy makes it home eventually, but when he gets home, Albright is there with his partners, and demand that he track down Daphne a second time or face the murder charges. Basically saying, you either find Daphne or I'm going to pin you for 2 murders.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I love how fucking lazy everybody is. Like, all the cops are. I'm just like I don't give a shit.
The way they drive by with those menacing looks.
Yeah.
But what was weird about it, it's like, okay, it's like, well, this guy was just a guy looking for work.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This is the ultimate, he wasn't doing anything even remotely involved with anything. Right. He's just literally like, I need to pay my mortgage. I'm not a private investigator. I'm not getting mixed up in anything.
Right.
I just need to pay my mortgage. I'll do this whatever this guy needs. I'll do this one thing, even though I can tell it's a little bit sketchy. Maybe I can get out. No, I can't get out of it. Now I'm fucked. And before you know it, he's like being picked up by some weirdo in a fucking limousine. Like, that's when he knows he's like, there's no way that I'm going to live. Like, I don't live out of this. That's what happens.
Right. So finally, this is when Easy gets his friend Mouse Alexander, who's played by
Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle.
The greatest part of the movie.
Yeah.
God bless you, Denzel.
I wish there was more of them.
My God. Like, this movie is good, and then Don Cheadle shows up.
I wish there was more. Them together was
They are the
two of them,
best.
I think
team
that's what they
ever.
were going to plan to do when they make the TV
Yes.
series.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
had to,
my
because he
god.
was the best. Oh, he brought such life to the
Because
film.
there's a little bit
He's
of
a little wild.
he's a wild card.
He's a wild card. That's the
because
whole point.
he is you get a little bit of their backstory because you know that Easy was involved in some murder years ago, right? Like like he didn't mean to, but he assisted somebody in something, and someone ended up getting killed, and then somebody else got killed. The dude who was doing the killing was Don Cheadle.
Right.
And so halfway through the film, like
he's the Joe Pesci kind of character.
He's the Joe Pesci character.
He's got that Pesci vibe.
And he's so fucking funny. Yeah, he's so funny and he's so dangerous.
Yes.
That like that Denzel
unpredictable, particularly when he was drunk. When
unpredictable.
You realize
a great scene with him when he's hammered. But it's just like when he shows up, like before he shows up, Denzel's like, it's come to the point where he has to call in a favor from Don Cheadle. Like you can tell, like nobody wants to go this far, but I now have to go this far.
I have no choice.
I have no choice.
I have to call the mouse.
I have to call the mouse. And you don't even know what this is yet. But when he shows up in the nick of time to save Denzel from being killed.
Right.
And he does it in the most comedic possible way.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably funny.
So then they get so him and Mouse go to see Joppy, who was the bartender, right, from the Bling. And confronts him for leading Daphne to him, like what's going on here. And then they end up meeting. They're meeting with the other guy, Todd Carter, who was the
other
mayoral candidate, right? And realizing that Albright actually doesn't work for Carter because they thought it was Carter. He actually worked for Terrell.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Terrell Corporation.
The Terrell Corporation. Right.
Yes. Do you think he put that in there because Fancher wrote this?
Did Hampton Fancher wrote the screenplay?
No. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
No.
That's fantastic.
Hampton Fancher wrote this screenplay. That's why
really
the Terrell part. I was like, "There's gotta be."
Look
it up.
That's funny.
I'm almost positive he wrote this. I was like,
terrific.
"Wait a minute, what is this crap?"
That's terrific. So the Terrell Corporation. There you go. So he's like there's the other mayoral candidate who also wants to pay Easy to find her. Now.
Right. So everyone wants to find Daphne.
Yes. Right. He won't say why, but he's just like, I'll give you X many thousands. I'll give you $2,000, $5,000. Doesn't matter. Just I'll pay it. Just find her.
He said he'll give you. He said
find the girl.
$1,000.
He says I'll give you $1,000 or how much to find how much to find the girl, and he goes $1,000. He goes, I think you're taking advantage of me. Fine, here's $200 in advance.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Right. He's gonna pay it. He doesn't care.
It doesn't matter, right? And so he's like, all right. So he's now sort of going to.
He's being thrown at him. So crazy.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Okay. So he secures an payment. Okay. Then he goes back home, and he's ambushed by Frank Green, the thugs, right? By Frank Green, who is the girl that we know that Daphne's involved with him as well. Right. Mouse rescues him again.
And the thing is, like, Mouse is so super charming when he's not really violent.
he is.
Like he's easier than Easy is. Like he's just rolling in saying, "Oh, this pigtail stuck in the mouth." He's like, and everyone loves to see Mouse. But then once the guns come out, Mouse is like, "I don't know, just kill him." just kill that dude. Who cares?
Was it that? Is that the point where they end up getting drunk or start drinking?
That's coming up.
And then he pulls the gun on him.
Yeah, which is a spectacular scene.
No, go ahead and describe that scene.
Because the dude is like, it's a beautiful bit where Denzel, like, they go into his house and Denzel stops and says, like, listen, I'm really sorry that this happened. And the guy's like, thank you. And they all sort of sit down and have a drink, and the guy starts crying. It's a really sort of like sad scene, just like a lot, like lost the love of my life, and here, this is terrible, and it's very, very sad. And Mouse is like, it's all right, don't worry about it. He pours him this gigantic, literally, it's an entire highball glass full of whiskey, and they start drinking, and Denzel uses this moment to go and look through the house.
Look for the Bible.
Look for the Bible.
Right. This was in Daphne's house, right?
And so and then he does find the Bible.
There's something about the Bible. What was the clue that led him to say, look for the Bible?
Because he said she gave it to me before she left, the Bible. And, she's a religious girl. Right. And he's like, yeah, she's religious. She slept with me, was the way he was thinking. So the way he said it implied like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's something going on with this Bible.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the clue that was like, she's religious. It's like, really? Like religious having sex with me late at night? Okay.
Right.
So then he investigated it.
Right.
Goes and finds the Bible. Finds in the Bible the photographs.
The photographs are photographs of Terrell with children.
He is a pedophile, and this is the leverage that she has against him for something.
Right. So this is the thing that's sort of like that's trying to do it. So basically, that's what we comes it all together. Is that basically the guy works for Terrell. Albright works for Terrell. Daphne has pictures with him with children, right? The very typical thing. And then basically now that's why everyone's trying to find her, because this is going to influence the election, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the situation. Anyway, so after the big drink, what happens after that?
So he finds this, and then he comes back out, and he's like trying to wake up Mouse, who's, he's fallen asleep against the wall. The other guy's fallen asleep. And he gently tries to wake him up, and Mouse immediately comes to life, stands up, and stuffs a gun right
in his face,
in Easy's face. And he's still drunk, and he's really confused. And he's
talking in a third person. Like,
exactly. And it's like, hey, he is like in a whole other world. Leave that guy alone. What are you doing? And like, he starts talking, he doesn't recognize Easy. He doesn't know what's going on. Right. And like, Easy is trying to get the gun away from his chest, because how like Mouse will just kill someone without even thinking about it. And he's trying to get the gun off of them and away, and then he's just like, yeah, and then he brings the gun down and goes, just like this, and like puts the gun
pulls another gun out.
Pulls another gun out. and then he's pointing the gun at the other sleeping dude. And it's just like, trying to calm him down while he's super hammered is both hysterically funny
and terrifying,
and gives you a deep character backstory, and also has this weird sadness about Mouse. Like, he's obviously way more traumatized than he lets on. Like, his whole unconscious life is just like, he's very nearly crazy. Like, his surface is just like totally easygoing.
And that's why I think Don Cheadle is such a good choice, because he can really pull it off. Like, really.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah. I think that this might have been the first time I saw Cheadle. Yeah. And he just blew me away. I was just like, this guy is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And that scene just hammered it home.
He used to have lunch at a place near DD, like the Brick House. Remember that place?
Oh yeah, I remember the Brick House. Yeah. Oh, Cheadle went there.
He used to see him there all the time.
That's great. Yeah, he is such an incredible actor. One of the great actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, great character. Yeah. And in fact, like this, just as a slight tangent, the movie that I kept on thinking of, that if people have not seen it, it's on HBO. Steven Soderbergh's movie with Cheadle called No Sudden Move.
Yes, and No Way Out is good too.
Yeah, like if you want to see a sort of companion piece to this movie, watch that one. Terrific.
Or you can also do Mighty Quinn, which we'll talk about.
And we'll do Mighty Quinn. Get there. But yeah, it's so wild, dude. It's such a wild scene. It's great.
Right. Okay, so Easy finds his way. At home, Easy finds Daphne waiting for him, and she ends up revealing that Frank, who we thought she was involved with, is actually her half brother.
Yeah.
Right, and that her mother is Creole, and that Daphne's father was white and Frank's was black, because Frank is a black guy clearly, and she's white.
Right.
Right, but technically she's not. She's half black.
Because she is half black, that is what causes the trouble for her.
Right. Because she was involved with Todd, whatever his name is.
The other mayoral candidate.
And then he cannot be involved with someone who is not white.
Exactly. He can't,
even though she looks white.
Right. Exactly. And even though like she loves him and he loves her, ostensibly.
Right.
Like it would completely destroy his life and career and his family's standing if he were to be involved with a someone who's black.
So Terrell was actually using this, finds out about Daphne's heritage, and was using that to blackmail Carter, which is why he dropped out as the mayor candidate.
Right. Exactly.
Right. But then Daphne has pictures on
Terrell.
Terrell.
Right.
So they're all blackmailing each other.
They're blackmailing each other. Exactly.
Yeah, it's horrible too.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, like she's like, you know, like if I get the photos, then the love of my life can, you know, run for mayor again. Right.
Right.
And that's her whole angle. And of course, this is not how that plays out.
Right.
She's incorrect in this assumption. Like there's no way that because as it gets revealed, like he's like, I love you, but I can't be seen with you.
Right.
So all the work that you went through to try to, you know, get this other guy kicked out and get me back in doesn't make any difference at all. And like all great classic noirs, it all comes down to, well, that was useless.
Yeah.
Well, that was fucking useless. Look at that. Everything's still corrupt and nobody got anything out of it.
Right. But then Daphne found out that she got the pictures from McGee, who was the guy who was murdered in Laurel Canyon.
Right.
And that Albright was the guy who obviously we knew. We tried to figure out Albright murdered McGee, trying to get the pictures, right? Or figure out more information about it.
Right.
And then when Coretta threatened to sell the pictures to Terrell, Daphne sent Joppy to intimidate her, right?
Right.
And so Joppy was involved in that, but did not expect him to kill Coretta. So Joppy killed Coretta.
Yes.
So the bartender from the beginning
was trying to be like, oh no, I'm not involved at all.
Yeah,
well,
he was
he's
the one
who fucking beat her head in. Didn't mean to, but there it is. That's what happened.
All right. So it gets all very, very complicated. Anyway, so at this point, Albright has been arrived. They subdue Easy and they take Daphne, right? Then so they're gone, and then Mouse comes in, and then they end up taking Joppy at gunpoint to figure out where the hell Daphne is, right? So they force Joppy to be in the car, forcing him to take Albright to tell him where it is, and it turns out it's in some cabin in the Hollywood Hills.
And I just want to say that just the journey in the car with Mouse is hilarious.
Yes,
because Mouse is like, what did he do? What's going on? And he's just like, he's the one who killed Coretta, and Mouse just while he's driving turns around and fires his gun multiple times at Joppy.
Not killing him,
missing. Joppy's like trying to go to the side, and Denzel's like, no, stop.
So
we have to hold on.
Do not kill him. Don't shoot him. It specifically says don't shoot him. Just don't shoot him. It's like, I'll do whatever you say.
Yeah, don't shoot him. Because he's gonna if we can get this done, he's got $7,000, right? We'll get $7,000 out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And when Mouse hears that, he goes, "What?" And you see, it's like stunned. And he stops the car and he goes, "What? We'll get $7,000 out of it." And Mouse just goes, "Oh my lord! Oh my God! Yes." He's like completely focused. He's just like, "Fuck, $7,000! Absolutely!"
So funny.
It's unbelievably funny. And then they haul out to go to the cabin.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Dying. Don Cheadle is so
he's just like, no. You kill him. Like, boom.
$7,000? Are you kidding me?
So it is funny because it's like, it's basically easy to. He's just like a loose cannon the whole time.
Yeah,
right?
It's just insane. Because I mean, like Cheadle is only expressing what everyone else is, because everyone's trying to get any money they can at all, right? And $7,000 is like $3 million. Like it's just it's just insane. And to see and and it's just with Mouse, like he's just closer to the surface of acting on anything. And so the moment he hears that, he's like, holy shit, what? $7,000? We can get $7,000. Immediately puts the gun away and it's just like, don't worry, I won't shoot him. Drives on. I won't shoot him.
Yeah. But then they end up getting to the cabin. They find Albright and his men, and they dismissed them pretty quickly.
It's great. Yeah. It's just like it just happens. Everything just happens instantly.
Yeah.
You know.
And so then the
beautiful gunfight and so Denzel takes care of like a large part of the gunfight, and then Mouse gets involved.
No,
And
no,
then
no. Mouse gets involved to help him at the very end.
At the very end.
At the very end, he was about to get shot, and then Mouse kills the other guy.
Right, and he just comes in and just shoots the last few guys, including DeWitt. Right,
DeWitt, right?
And DeWitt,
a huge gun just comes out. Sorry, I had my mute on because my dog was barking.
Yeah.
A huge gun comes out and just blows right through him. It was the best shot.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's
and
really
DeWitt's death is great. I love DeWitt's death. You know,
absolutely.
Like he just stumbles onto his face.
It was really great. And he grabs the car fender. I was noticing that. I was like, wow, that's a.
And they waited out in a big wide shot. Yeah, it's so good. And like they waited out in a wide shot, and Cheadle and Washington just standing there watching the guy die on his face. And it takes a long time.
He's done.
And he's done.
Yeah,
that's it. Right? But then they go back to the car.
Oh, but he said, where's Joppy? And he goes, I killed him. He's like, I told you. He's like, no. You said don't shoot him, so I strangled him instead.
I strangled him instead.
It's like I couldn't leave him here alone.
That's like Pesci. Like, wait a minute. Sorry, I got your floors all bloody.
Exactly. And it's like my favorite line is just, if you didn't want me to kill him, you shouldn't have left him with me. It's just amazing, and the movie gets to have it both ways because Denzel is honestly sad that Joppy is dead, even though Joppy killed Coretta. You know, he's just like, I can't believe all this fucking bullshit happened, and so he can't be mad at Mouse.
He also left the bar, with a gun to his head.
And so
he's the last person to really see him.
Yeah, like he's just incredibly confused and sad, and he's just sitting there like, I can't be mad at Mouse. He's basically doing he saved my ass twice. You know, like he's just doing what Mouse does, and I involved him, so that's how it is. But everything has just gone so south; it's ridiculous. Like everything's just gone terrible. You know, the only thing that's good is that he wasn't killed. That's it. Right.
But they did end up rescuing Daphne.
Yes.
From this situation. So then they get the $7,000 for the pictures, and Mouse goes back to Houston. Now she tries to get back with Todd, but he rejects her.
Because he's just like, listen, I can't, you're black. And you're just like, you fucking asshole. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like literally this woman is like, her life was threatened. The entire movie is about trying to fucking rescue your relationship with her. And then like, well, now that I can be mayor, I can't be with you.
And then he ends up giving
That's crazy.
Easy the $800 he still owes.
He still owes. I mean, so Easy cleans up in this movie.
Yeah, he makes a lot of money.
He makes a lot of money.
Yeah, and he splits the $7,000 with Mouse.
With Mouse,
right?
And then Mouse is like, "Hey man, call me anytime because you make man a lot of money. You get anytime you want. You just call me. I'll come on back." And you can tell, like, they're clearly setting up, like, this is exactly who you want. You just want to see the adventures of Easy and Mouse for the rest of your life after this movie.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so good.
That's really what you want to do.
Which is what they set this up for.
Yeah, it's
they
so
set it up
funny. It's so beautiful.
So Daphne and her brother end up going back to the town, and then obviously Carter's election is assured because or Todd Carter.
You're a newspaper headline.
Yeah. Right. And also Easy is no longer in trouble with the police because of Carter's now the new mayor. Right.
Right.
But they do a drive by his house where they give him a slide eye. Yeah. Which is
it's so I mean, like, this is the beauty of it. It's just like basically Easy comes in and saves the mayor's bacon, right? 100%. You know, gets the mayor back his girlfriend, and he blows her off. You know, throws Easy some money.
What's so ridiculous is like the other guy, obviously clearly a pedophile. Yes, we should not have pedophiles and mayors.
Right. Yeah. But
right?
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for that.
But the other guy, like, the only thing he's done wrong is quote unquote done wrong is that he was dating a person who he didn't realize is black.
That's it. Yeah.
That's so insane.
It's just insanity. It's just insane. And this movie, like, is so great at wrapping up all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And still making it, like, I think this is the beauty of the movie. And I think that like so many other movies try to talk about this stuff, but because they have they make like, they're so intent on making a statement about it that that actually limits your audience quite a bit. Whereas like a movie like this speaks to everybody who watches this is going to have a great time. But man, are they going to have some feelings about it when it's done? Like you get exposed to this incredibly richly drawn, sad, real problem that we are still dealing with, and at no point were you ever preached to about it at all. Like you just experienced it, and you experienced how bad it was, and how much it influenced just the story of these people, the fictional people in the movie. And it's overwhelming. And I think that's like, this is what I really value when movies do this, and like they're able to to bring in stuff that's very, very important to say and get out there, and they put it in so successfully that you barely even notice until afterwards.
Yeah.
And
although I would say it is like that. Daphne is always wearing a blue dress.
Always, yes, she is always wearing a blue dress. Always. True. Yes,
which is
I
kind
was
of
waiting
like
for her to do like a flash dance move.
Yeah, what a feeling. Yeah, you got the bucket. Yeah, all the whole thing. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
but she's wonderful in this.
This is the best thing she ever did. This is easily the best thing she ever did. I think she's very good in this. I think she's actually pretty good in Flashdance. Flashdance is a pretty entertaining movie, but like I think that her career never really took off after this point. She had like one or two other good roles, but never really went crazy. This is the thing I'd recommend if you want to see who Jennifer Beals is. This is the movie that she really nails. I
think she was in something else that I.
She's in a movie. She's in a great movie. Oh, what's it called? With. God damn it! I can't think of the name of it. Hang on, I'll look it up.
Because I remember seeing her something else. I was like, oh wow, she's great.
She's in that terrible Frankenstein movie with Sting.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's really bad. Really, really bad.
How was Sting?
Sting is always good to me. Like I always think he's very entertaining, but that movie is so wretched. It's not even worth talking about. He is worse in like it's a worse movie. Like I like Sting in Dune. I think
he's hilarious in Dune.
He's hilarious in Dune. But and actually the very best Sting performance that you can possibly get is the one what's called Brimstone and Treacle.
Yes.
If you want an upsetting and hysterical movie, Brimstone and Treacle. That is a very, very good one. But Jennifer Beals, let me just quickly check here. She was in filmography. Where is it? Roger Dodger. I really
seen that.
That's a really good movie. That's
a really good
movie. That's the one with Campbell Scott, written and directed by Campbell Scott, I think. And it's about like this kind of scummy Lothario character who is trying to connect with his nephew. And it's really charming and very funny. And Beals takes the movie home. She walks away with the movie. She's so good. Roger Dodger. I don't think too many people saw it, but it's a very, very good movie.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah, it's Campbell Scott. And he also directed, Dylan Kidd. Campbell Scott, no, he didn't even write it. That's funny. I thought Campbell Scott did both. Dylan Kidd directed, the writer-director. He directed a lot of Children's Hospital, comedy show that was on. But that's about it. Roger Dodger. Get a Job, Party Boat, Peep Show, P.S. That's it. Roger Dodger. Anyway, Roger Dodger is really good, and Jennifer Beals is really good at it.
So
worthwhile.
Budget on this film was $27 million. This is in 1995, and box office was $22 million.
That's why you don't get a second. That's too bad. That's really too bad. What an incredible. This is one of my favorite Washington movies.
I thought it was a great movie. So I think, and by the way, Mighty Quinn made $4.7 million total in the box office,
right?
Which is I think is a really good film.
These are both really good movies. I would say like Mighty Quinn is fun. Like if you got nothing to do and it's on, I watched it on whatever, not Pluto, but Tubi. Watched it on Tubi. It's a perfect Tubi movie.
It is a perfect Tubi film, and it's not available anywhere else.
It's not available. It's just like it's not so
it's
good.
not even for rent. You can't even rent it.
I couldn't. I can't get it on Amazon. It's a perfect Tubi movie where you watch it, you're just like, oh, that was really good. It's like gosh, I can't even think of another
Saturday matinee film.
It's a Saturday matinee movie in the best possible sense. Right. It's not like a big deep movie, but it's a very fun, sweet, good actiony movie. It's a guy hangs off of a helicopter kind of movie. You know,
Yes.
it's like that's the kind of movie it is.
Yeah.
but it's a good movie. It's a good movie. But I really would say that I hadn't seen Devil in a Blue Dress in a while, and I would put that up in there in probably my top 10 or 12 favorite modern noirs, neo noirs. Like I
Right.
think like
It's good.
It's not as good as LA Confidential, but it lives in the same world and has, I think, a deeper thing to say than LA Confidential does.
Right. Well, it doesn't have a perspective of what it must be like to be a black person in 1948, but also the fact that that hasn't changed to this day.
It hasn't changed at all. Exactly. And like, this is the thing. I mean, like, we're very aware of the nonsense of three white dudes discussing this, but the fact is, this is the kind of movie that successfully talks about this stuff, and people should
think
see.
It's great that three white dudes are talking about this, because three white dudes are talking to an audience that is not that audience. So we're exposing that.
6 white dudes.
Yeah, at least 6 or 7.
But I'm saying is like, we need to continue. We need to all be exposed to that. And so what we're doing is like, we're talking about things that we are being exposed to that is not part of our world, and doing it. And I think that's the exact thing. I don't know. That's the way I feel.
Because I believe that like a movie like this is so like, it really lays out these issues extremely well and dramatically, and in a way that is unlike the way we talk about politics today, which is useless. Like,
I don't. We forgot the art of conversation.
Yeah, like this is a real actual thoughtful examination of a massive and horrible problem, and it doesn't, like, it's not out there to try to, be what can I say, like, arch about it to make you mad. It's just it's just like, let's just look at this and see what this is. And we'll also have a good movie that you're really going to love. And I think that that's a way more useful thing to do than screaming at people on Twitter.
Right.
Because like,
are you on Twitter a lot more?
I have to be because of this podcast. I would probably not use Twitter if I weren't on Martini Giant. I do not really use.
Well, we don't have to be there. I mean, it's not like we have a huge following on Twitter.
It's a good way to connect with.
It is
film nerd stuff. So it's
I mean, there are film nerds on, and there is. It's true.
But okay, it's more and more toxic every day, and it's a real shame.
Yeah, it is a shame.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about Mighty Quinn before, but we can get into it. And it's based on a Bob Dylan song. That's the name.
Right? Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's the and they sing it twice in the movie. As a matter of fact, they sing a variant on it.
But it is a character. It is a character played by Denzel Washington, named Xavier Quinn, who is the Jamaican chief of police.
Right. Yeah, and an awesome character, as you said. You said it very well. He is just plain cool. Like, from the opening shot, you're just like, you look like a badass. This is amazing.
Well, he's in a very formal attire because he's at a wedding, right? And the opening shot, I love the opening shot. It's just a woman screaming, like, with a close up of her mouth, just as she's
Rita Marley. That was Rita Marley.
Oh, was it?
His wife. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's just screaming, and then it's realized that it's part of a song, and so she's singing her reggae, right? And it's just great. It's just an awesome opening. You're just in reggae. You're in Jamaica. You're watching this going on.
It's great.
And it's really cool. Really great opening. Yep. And he is wearing his formal policeman white uniform because he's at a wedding. And he just looks, like, what's Richard Gere gentleman?
Officer and Gentleman. Yeah. It's the Denzel Washington version of Officer and Gentleman. It looks amazing. He's totally in control of the scene. This movie is largely about showing how handsome and amazing Denzel Washington is. That's the main part of the plot.
That's the big vehicle.
That's the big draw. Secondarily, it's that this setting is beautiful and amazing, and anyone would want to be here.
I like the way that they use music in this a lot.
Yes,
there's a lot of great.
It almost borders on a musical too.
Yeah, it's true.
It does. It does.
It's true.
It does, especially the piano scene and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. But he's so while he's enjoying the wedding, he's there's a woman who's hitting on him, which is very attractive. And he's sort of flirting back with him. And you kind of figured out that he's married. This woman is not his wife, but
right. He's holding back. He's like, I can't.
It's like, well, how long does the offer stand for? It's like until midnight tonight or something like that, right? And so it's like, okay. Then you get into him realizing they do a nice little setup to make it seem like he's not just a cop. He also knows everyone and he's involved in everyone's lives, right?
Every level of society.
They all know each other. It's like a small town situation, right? Small island situation. And so the situation is specifically that the woman is getting married, but she's pregnant with someone else's baby, right? The guy who had sex with her, or the guy who's a father, tries to attack the groom.
Yes.
Because he says, that's my baby in her belly.
Right.
And at which point Denzel Washington intervenes, captures the guy. The guy says, "Good, back to your wedding," and goes, "That's my baby in her belly." And he goes, "It doesn't matter if it's your baby. It's her wedding. It's not your choice."
Exactly.
Right? And sort of does that, and then instead of arresting the guy for threatening to kill him, he just says, "Just go home."
Oh, sorry. Hampton Fancher wrote Quinn.
Oh, you wrote Mighty Quinn?
Oh my God! I'm so sorry.
Screenplay Hampton Fancher. Yes.
Yeah,
that's hysterical.
What else did he write?
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, Unforgiven. Yeah, he's pretty. No, only Blade Runner. I'm sorry. He didn't write Unforgiven. That's David Peoples. But Blade Runner. He wrote Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049.
Okay. Well, yeah. It's good.
Sorry, I said the other movie earlier.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what? Yes.
That's
terrific. Yeah.
Okay.
What a fun ass movie. That's so funny for him to write this.
Yes.
Like Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049.
Well, it's a short story though, right?
It's a book, I think. I think both of these are based on actual books. Yeah.
Based on a book called Finding Maoby.
Yeah.
By A.H.Z. Carr. Okay.
It was a series.
Yeah, it's probably a series.
I bet that's probably true. I know that I'm going to look up for folks, Easy Rollins books. Yeah, there is, hang on, books. Yeah, so there are, yes. Okay, so a friend of mine is a giant fan of this author. I didn't realize that this was Walter Mosley is the author, and there's a ton of Easy Rollins books. So, like, if you like this movie, my friend who loves these books has excellent taste in books. So I can tell you these books are excellent, even though I have not read them. So there you go. Easy Rollins books. There's a whole ton of them.
Yeah.
Read away.
Interesting. He did this right after he did Mighty Quinn. Sorry, Blade Runner and then Mighty Quinn.
That's great, man. That's talk about it, like he's just taking a break.
Sorry, I got the wrong movie, but you understand.
Okay. No, I know, but then he did The Minus Man.
Yep. Oh, that's a good script.
Then he did Man's League.
Didn't see that one.
That's a short film. And then he did
Minus Man's with Owen Wilson. That's actually a very good movie.
And then he wrote 2036 Nexus Dawn, 2048 Nowhere to Run, and then he did Blade Runner 2049.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean 2049 is a terrific script. That's a great script.
So he didn't really do that many movies. He's done a bunch of TV.
Yeah.
He wrote a lot of TV.
Did he write a lot of mystery TV?
No, up until 1979. So early in his career was a lot of TV.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So like he basically makes his money being a TV writer up until Blade Runner, and then he writes one or two scripts, and then he does Blade Runner 2049, and that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Weird.
Maybe no. He was an actor in TV.
He's an actor.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Hampton Fancher. I just thought he had a cool name.
Yeah. He's an interesting character. We should look him up more.
Yeah, I was looking him up when we saw this because I was like, how do I know that?
Well, it's interesting because like Fancher wrote Blade Runner with David Peoples. David Peoples did the rewrite on that, I think, and then John Spates, I think, did the rewrite on 2049. So it's interesting that like if this is just the straight from the faucet Hampton Fancher screenplay is Mighty Quinn, that's sort of amazing to me.
From the faucet.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, he was an actor
That's great. Okay.
And he's done a bunch of TV like in the 70s. Like he did, yeah. And then he was a writer, Blade Runner 2049. Yeah. His first screenplay was Blade Runner. The hell?
Dude, that's
That's
insane.
crazy.
How do you even do that?
I know.
Yeah.
I have written a good number of scripts. I promise you, none of them are as good as Blade Runner.
Yeah.
You can just go on an assumption that I've never written anything that good in my life.
Yeah, he did Blade Runner and then he did Mighty Quinn after that. What the hell?
I may have written a script better than Mighty Quinn. I'll go that far, maybe.
I don't know. I like Mighty Quinn.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that like it's more in the realm of human ability than Blade Runner is. Blade Runner is
Human ability.
it's arguable that that me or someone we know has written a screenplay as good as Mighty Quinn. It's
Right.
unlikely that I will ever write a screenplay as good as Blade Runner.
Right. So the first thing
Chris is like, yeah, we know.
we know.
We know you're
We're trying. We're trying. Well, you know, we're there to encourage you. We're there, you know, don't want to, you know, disillusion him in some ways.
That's right. Yeah, you gotta keep the screws tightened on this one. Otherwise, what we're gonna end up with.
So at which point you get to call on the radio. They're all driving these open Jeeps, which is great, you know.
Oh yeah, amazing. Which reminds me also of Domino Principle.
Yes.
I thought like, oh, and I was literally like, I got to bring it up, and then I forgot. But yes, there was so much DP in that. I was like, wait a minute.
I love that the Domino, like unlike any other film, you think that like I'm sure every other podcast has like the movie that they associate with the podcast the most, and it's always going to be like Alien or some
big movie,
what Apocalypse Now.
We're talking about the Mighty Quinn that made $4 million and referring to the Domino Principle,
which is basically our mascot.
Yeah.
Our mascot picture right there.
Gene Hackman and Candy Bergen.
Candy Bergen, man. Oh man, driving around the corner, the Domino Principle over and over again.
Yes,
That's the greatest.
Okay, so he gets a call that there's on the radio that there's been a murder at the hotel or a homicide, and he's got to go investigate. So he's like, "Oh shit!" So he's
How was he?
so he goes, he races down the hill, and then you see a shot in the opposite direction. Some guy on a motorcycle with a sidecar flying up in the opposite direction, right? And they're like coming together, and they get this. They almost crash each other around this blind turn, and they go like, and they're like almost, you know, they almost go off the cliff. And in that process, coming out, the guy has a girl in the sidecar, but there's also a suitcase that goes flying up in the air, ends up on the ground. The two of them come up to each other, and they're obviously they know each other. Figured out they know each other, right? The one is Quinn, and the other guy is Maoby, right?
Right.
And so, who's played by Robert Townsend?
Yes, who is a director in his own right.
Right.
Did Hollywood Shuffle most famously.
Yes, and he's very. I love his character, and obviously,
he's great. He's good.
He has to be. He has to be because Maoby is like the mysterious man that everyone like. He's the Peter Pan of Jamaica.
Yeah, exactly. He's the embodiment of like I think with the movie, what the novel seems to be doing through the screenplay is like Maoby is the idea of Jamaica. Like it's like this is if you were to boil the idea of the personality of Jamaica itself into a person, that's what Maoby is supposed to be, right? And I think that Townsend's pretty great in this movie, and Maoby is a very likable character. I would like to read the book because I think the book probably has a slightly deeper thing to say about that than the movie does. But the movie is awfully fun. Like they set him up very well. But what the plot turns into has a lot to do with America's relationship to the Caribbean. And there's a lot of that going, and it's all in there. I wonder about the book, though, if the book spends a little bit more time and depth on that, because I think it was interesting, and they don't really explore it that much.
Yes. Now, it's not as in depth or as strong a statement as Devil in the Blue Dress, but there is definitely colonialism. And
it's the plot. Yeah,
it is the entire
colonialism
plot.
is the plot of this movie for sure. Yeah.
right? And so anyway, so they arranged it, and there's a big, Louis Vuitton bag or something like that that's in the middle of the road between the two of them. And then it sort of was like, what, that this road is closed from this time to this time, for downhill traffic or whatever. And he goes, since when or whatever. They start yelling at each other. But then they both end up right next to the suitcase. Denzel Washington picks up the suitcase.
He knows it's full of money.
He knows,
he just knows it. He's like, a suitcase full of money would weigh exactly this much. You can see it in his face.
Right. But then he's holding this thing and is like, okay. And then finally the guy, he's like, if I'm going to look into this one, it's like, they play it off. Anyway, he ends up grabbing the bag and leaving. And it's quite, it's quite funny.
It's very funny. Yes.
It's very funny. So
it's a great setup of those two characters. Like, really, I think that defines the both of them more than anything else we've seen.
Right.
Anything else? It's
because
just
we know that Maoby's. We find out later. Maoby pretty much is a petty criminal. He's always getting
absolutely. And
and Quinn, they're like best friends. So Quinn is constantly letting him go.
Right. And the thing is, like, they in that scene, it really shows like they love each other. They know each other forever. They're friends when they're kids and all this stuff. But their attitude towards each other is very revealing of like the social circles they belong to and what they think of the other. Because like Maoby is looking at him like, oh, it's a really fancy fucking outfit you've got on there. Like you work for the colonialists is what he's saying.
Yeah,
like, you are a governor. You're a paid stooge. Like you think that you're all high and mighty, but you're not. You're like you're actually.
In fact, he calls him out on his uniform. It's like he's like
you're a sellout.
He mocks him.
He mocks him with his uniform. He's like, yeah, I was at a wedding. Okay,
that's great. Exactly. And you're like, you're just a stooge that works for the rich dudes, and who are largely white. You're just a hired hand.
Right.
And whereas like he's looking at Maoby like, but why can't you get your shit together? Like you're smart, but here you are, on the lam from something clearly.
Right.
And I'm gonna end up chasing you down.
Yep.
So like it's a beautiful way to set up the tensions of everyone on the island while still celebrating everything to do with the island.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
So then he drives down to town. He goes to this fancy resort hotel, clearly very fancy, very white.
Oh, right? Yeah, I mean the dude they have playing like the owner is just like
James Fox.
Yeah, like he is from Eric. You know this one. Assassinating the French, the President of France. What's that movie?
Yes. Oh my God. 1971. Yeah.
He's this guy, right? He's the
they
guy.
They remade it with Bruce Willis.
Yeah. Day of the Jackal. Yeah. Day of the Jackal.
Day of the Jackal.
Yeah. So I believe it's the same guy who's the assassin from Day of the Jackal.
He was also in Sexy Beast.
No, he was also the waiter. He was in the movie that we saw, the black and white one, where he was the.
Oh yeah, the Help. They're not the Help.
The
other movie.
Yes.
The one with the Butler movie. It wasn't the Help.
Yeah, the servant.
The Servant.
He's in the Servant.
He's a servant, but he's also in Sexy Beast. He's the guy who they shoot in the who's the mayor in the house.
Yes.
No, he owns that. He owns the bank, or he runs the bank.
Yeah, but he's that guy. But yeah, he's like he plays this guy so well. He's like the fucking he's the arrogant, ultra rich, elitist English white douchebag.
But it's almost to an extreme level of
he's a cartoon.
It's cartoon character.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then so the other thing that's hilarious is that Mimi Rogers, who's very sexy in this, is his wife, and she's flirting with
Denzel Washington. Yeah,
with Denzel Washington. And then he comes in and is like, if I'd come in 2 seconds later, would I have found you on the floor with him?
It's just like, it felt like, come on, I would be like, yes.
Yeah, there was a little falcon crest there.
Yeah, exactly. What are you, nuts? It's Denzel Washington,
falcon
of course.
Crest. Knots landing.
Exactly. But he's like, this dude is like, he's like
Dynasty. It's more like Dynasty. It's
Dynasty, exactly. Yeah. Like Edward Fox is like one step below like Ralph Bellamy in Trading Places. Like he's in that bracket of cartoon rich villain.
Right.
And so he owns and runs the resort, right? And the resort has a dead body in it. The dead body
Actually, no. He runs the resort. I think the dead body was the guy
is the guy who really owns and rent. Yeah, exactly.
Owns the resort. So the dead body, they find a dead body. It's apparently the guy. I forgot. So he's been dead the whole time. But everyone talks about him, but he's been dead the whole time.
Right. He's dead from get-go. Right.
Right. They found him in a hot tub, decapitated.
Yes. And so it's boiling red water.
Right.
You know, a good plastic head with it looks like the head from Jaws from in the boat.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, but that's the murder that's happened.
That's the murder that's happened, and that's what he's investigating.
And everyone there is like, it's Maoby, so just go get Maoby.
Yeah. Well, the doctor, there's some guy comes in, so it's like, yes, he's a guest at a hotel. It's like, I took the liberty of inspecting the body a few hours ago, and it's like, and goes. It's like, well, we need to drain the pool and we need to take the body to the hospital. And I was like,
do a proper autopsy. Yeah,
proper autopsy. It's like, well, you clearly died from being decapitated.
right. What do you think happened here, Mr. Police Officer?
And I was like, no, you just bring Maoby here. Just bring Maoby and we'll be done with this, right?
Yes, I mean, it's super, it's obviously, I mean, the guy's all but saying, like, I examined the body and he seems to have been murdered by someone named Maoby. Like, that's almost what they say.
Right.
Like, okay.
Pretty much so. It's kind of
maybe now.
And I forgot if we meet the governor yet, but he has a conversation with the governor. He's like, "What is this? You having an autopsy? We just need to get the we
just go get Maoby.
Go get Maoby.
The problem solved."
And then the governor is a real stooge too. You can clearly tell that.
100%.
Right.
He looks at Washington looks at him the same way Maoby looked at Washington. Like, you fucking moron! Look at you. You're just you are a servant. You're dressed like a servant. You are a servant. This is what you are. Right. And because he says, used to be because the guy used to be like the animal health inspector, and he got promoted to being the governor.
Oh yeah. Right? It was a chicken inspector, right?
Inspector. Yeah, exactly. So he's just like, this is the kind of person who gets to the top of the food chain in this situation. So Denzel has no respect for him whatsoever, and the guy's like, maybe we should just step aside. Our job here is to let basically, the remnants of colonialism continue to run the show. That's his whole. That's how I keep my job. It's basically his point of view.
Right. And then there's another scene that happens. I think. Oh, right. We see Maoby at a bar, right? And he is he is making a drink for a guy where he's taking a bunch of cigarette butts and joints and stuff,
and betting him $10,000.
$10,000 to drink this horrible drink, right?
Yes, this giant goblet of poison.
Right? And so this big guy does it, and then the police come. He escapes from the situation. It's like, why did you do that? And he goes, because he bet me $10,000.
So give me a $10,000 bill.
He gave me a $10,000 bill. It's like, there's no such thing as a $10,000 bill. And he goes, oh,
right.
And so then it's like, so now you get the idea. It's like, okay, something's going on with this money. There's a bag full of money, and this is what Maoby has it, and it obviously includes $10,000 bills, which could or could not be fake. Who knows? And then at some point he gets caught up in the investigation. He realizes he was supposed to pick up his son.
Yes, like hours ago.
Hours ago, right? And his son has been waiting in front of the school for a long time, alone, upset that no one's picked him up.
Yeah.
And his wife
Father of the year.
Yeah. And his wife is rehearsing for her singing career. And he goes home to see her, and she's beautiful singing, great singing. You see them singing in the house, her and her backup singers. And the boy is happier that he's home with his mom. And the mother does song, and then just starts berating Denzel for not being there. And it's like, right. So he's in a doghouse. And it's kind of like, it's tough to watch, honestly. But it's great. I don't know. Somehow she is just a powerful woman.
Like, well, she's great because she's
which was she in? She's in a bunch of things.
Like, because she's like her character could have been a cartoon character in this.
Right.
But instead, like, you really get to see, like, it's not just like she's a force of like, my home life kind of stuff. Like, you really see her point of view in this. Like, you're just like, and by halfway through the movie, you're like, they may just end up getting divorced. This may not be the happy ending you think it's headed for.
Right.
Like, this is like, she's playing it realistically enough.
I never saw it as like there's going to be a happy ending for some reason.
Well, I think this is it, because like she has, like, it could have been just like, I mean, there's endless, comedy action movies where the wife shows up as just like, in order to play the tension, she is just like the shrill monster, right? And then at the end, everything works out okay, and then it's fine. You're just like, she's like, I'm obviously, when we got together, you were a different person, and things have just sort of slid into discomfort. Like, she's unhappy, he's unhappy, and things are going realistically sour, as opposed to like trying to do this in a shorthand fashion. They spend time really making her into a person, and she does a great job.
Right. But clearly he's caring about everyone in the entire island and losing
her. Yeah, exactly. He's trying to manage and this is like, and
everyone's
it's a great point.
Everyone's lives.
Right.
Everyone's lives. Like, that this one's personally married. No, you're not going to do that. No, you're going to manage it.
Right.
And then somehow it's like, yeah, you still got family.
And it's a great point, Nate, because like what it really shows is like his position on the island is both like, because he has to integrate with every sort of strata of the island.
Right.
Like, there's such a density to that all of his time is spoken for. Like, and so like the fact that his marriage has gone wrong in a realistic way makes the environment more realistic. Like, it's a beautiful bit of screenwriting to balance that out, because like the reason why he's failing, when you're with him, like in interacting with everybody, you're like, he is a really good guy. He's connected to everybody, and it's given me a big sketch of this community. This is amazing. And then it goes back to her, and she's like, "What's left for me?" And he's like, "I got nothing. I've spent the whole day doing this." And that makes you sympathetic to the both of them. It invests you in the entire community, and it makes you sad for them. It's really, really brilliantly structured.
Yeah, he forgot his son at school. It's like, this is, as a parent,
we've seen characters like that before.
I know.
Though.
Well, we see it. That's why I said, this is what I'm saying. It's like, when you do this, you just make the wife into a cartoon. Like, that's the easy thing to do.
Yeah,
and
she's not.
Because they don't do that, and she has a level of reality, and their marriage has a level of reality, then everything else you've experienced also is invested with that level of reality. It underscores the realism without having to sell anything short. And
she doesn't come out and do the Goodfellas line. Your father hasn't digested the good meal in weeks.
Exactly. I mean, like, it's totally
Goodfellas, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's what did these people even do? This kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's a perfectly easy, fun way to do it. Exactly.
Walks out of the house laughing like that.
Henry, what did you do? What did you do, Henry? But yeah, like, it's easy to do that. It's fun to do that, and like, you can get away with it, and it works. But the fact that they took extra time makes the whole thing work better.
Because he ends up going back to the police station, right? Which, by the way, the other girl shows up. Which now you understand the temptation of the other girl, right?
Yes, 100%.
Right. But the other girl shows up, and she's she's saying, "Well, tell him the offer has been extended another day or whatever."
Right.
Right. But when he goes to the police station, you start realizing, again, he's taking care of a family at the police station.
Yes.
Not just all of the cops who are there.
It's the whole fucking gamut. The criminals, it's everybody.
And the guy, there's a bum who's in the jail all the time.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And who just lives there.
Yeah. Exactly. He doesn't want to leave.
He doesn't want to leave. He's getting food.
Getting food is fine.
He's got food. I love the line when it's like, when something is like, he's in jail. It's like, someone called the police. It's like, you're in jail.
You're in jail. Someone called the police. Yeah, no, it's like, it's totally awesome. And I think that you're right. Like, with the woman who's trying to tempt him, like, not even she is drawn as a cartoon. Like, she's not like Jessica Rabbit or something like that. Like, she's just like, You get a little bit of loneliness from her. You know, you understand where he's coming from. You understand why there's a temptation there, and he's holding strong. And you're just like, at the same time, you're like,
the thing
I
is
get it.
With both films, it's a shame too, because a lot of the characters were created to be seen many times, like in a series, you know,
Yes.
because they're so rich.
Right.
But you don't get that if it doesn't do well. You know?
Yeah, you just get it this one slice. Exactly.
Yeah, this is really
And you're
like
like-
an extended
and it-
pilot to a
Yeah,
to a TV
100%.
show. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I would say like if I were to, I mean, like Mighty Quinn isn't as good a film as Devil in a Blue Dress, but it is a really good,
It's
rich
a
setup
fun film
Yeah,
to
it's
watch.
a super. Like if you, I would definitely watch episode 2 of Mighty Quinn.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
if they had made that, I would have been like, oh, I fucking love that shit. It's a great show. It's a great show.
right.
You know, and they, I think you're right, Eric. Like they design it so that you're ready to keep running with it. You know, it has
Right.
like that. It has that same level of fun investment. And with Devil in Blue Dress, it's a much more like that works as a singular film very well. It has elements that you like.
You want to see more.
You want to see more of for sure.
Particularly Cheadle's character.
Yeah, exactly. You could watch those guys together in a million other adventures, but it feels more like those are discrete novels, which in fact they are. You know, whereas Mighty Quinn, you're right. It's like it's a bit TV, but like it's as far as Saturday afternoon goes, like I've watched much shittier stuff on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Like I would watch a Mighty Quinn show in an instant. And
What was the weird? They spent so much money on that one. It was with
Ryan Reynolds?
no, he was he's a cop with there's aliens on the planet or something like that. What was that one?
Will Smith.
It was Will Smith film. What was it called? Someone in chat's gonna know.
Cops with-
Shipville, USA?
No, it was he was
Yeah,
a cop
it was-
in L.A.
Oh
and
no,
it's Will
you
Smith.
no. Are you talking about the James Caan movie?
No,
Oh, because there's
it's
the
a
great
Netflix film. It's a Netflix film, and it's
looking it
Will
up. Hang on.
Smith, and it's I forgot. But anyway, I was looking at it, and they spent like $100 million, $150 million on it, and it's like
Yeah, it was, and his partner's an alien.
yeah, his partner is an alien. It's kind of like Alien Mine or whatever, or Alien Nation.
There's the one where it's fantasy and his partner is an orc.
An orc, that's what it was.
Oh yeah, okay, that's Bright. That's right.
Bright.
I forgot about that one. Yeah, I saw Bright. Bright is not very good. It's
No.
not as bad as people said that it was. It's just not very good.
It's not very good, but
Yeah.
I'm saying Mighty
It's
Quinn
also-
is better than Bright.
Yeah, and I watched all of Bright successfully. I made it through that, and that's just not a very good. It's just not very good.
Right.
I mean, like Bright is one of those things where it's just like,
Not an alien, it's an orc. You're right.
yeah, it's like
See, I don't even remember.
It's, the thing is like this is why I was getting confused. There is a James Caan movie with Mandy Patinkin about aliens who have already shown up in LA, and he is partnered up with an alien, which sounds really dumb, but is actually a really good 80s action movie, and I just can't think of the name of it.
Is it Alien Nation?
It's the Alienation. Thank you. Yeah, they made the show out of it. I forgot the show.
Yeah, the show.
Yeah, like the movie is actually quite terrific.
It
It's
is
a
a good movie.
great B movie, and Khan is awesome in it.
Yes, I remember it very well.
Yeah, good movie.
And you're right, but it seems similar. Like Alien Nation and Bright have similarities to
Yeah,
them
it's a total set. I
conceptually.
mean, like, and not to go off on Bright for too long, but Bright is the kind of thing where it's just like, how did nobody notice that this is super racist by accident? Like, it's so like you're watching this going like, so what? Like, I mean, like the movie is basically saying, so black people are orcs. You're just like, this got made?
Racist by accident.
Like, how did nobody notice that this is a fucking horrible racist mess? Like they don't, they're so lazy about their metaphors that they just like, because like here, like this is a whole different subject, but like in say Tolkien, right? Tolkien stuff is not racist because the whole idea is that orcs represent bad people. Like orcs represent whatever, like the Germans in World War II are the orcs. Right? They're not a race. It's not a race. It's just saying some people are fucking assholes, and we're going to call them orcs, and some people are rich jerk-offs, and we're going to call them elves. But with Bright, they're literally like, okay, so black people are like all the orcs are coded with like rap music and selling drugs and drug gangs, and they all live in the inner city, and you're just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like I was just blown away. I was just absolutely blown away. And then like that Will Smith is so mindlessly signed on to that as a precursor to how he does not think very much before he acts.
Really? Give us an example.
I was like, I would fucking run away from this project at 100 miles an hour. This is such a disaster. It's insane.
There was someone who dressed as the Oscar slap, and they dressed their kid as the Oscar slap.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
But it looked like child abuse. It's just...
Oh,
Wow.
guys.
What parent does that?
Like if you take your photo of the kid and you just go, oh no, wait.
It's like the kid looks like a gold statue or whatever, right? But then it's got this hand across the face that's supposed to represent the slap.
I
It's like,
I've done dumbass things in my life. I know. I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't do something as stupid as Bright, but I was just like, so many people would be involved. So many people had to say yes to this that I'm just like, I hope at some point if I were to watch that at Netflix, I'd be like, we must not show this to anyone.
well,
and we must
remember,
put it in the pile
Netflix
and
was a
burn it.
very young studio back then. I didn't.
No, that was only like 3 years ago.
But
been
they
that
were,
long ago,
they're still a young studio. They greenlight a bunch of things that are like, huh.
Wow. I was just
Yeah. But
was
I also think that
shocked.
not necessarily defending Bright or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I would say things like we tend to be way too like shy to do things, which is why we
Well,
have a fucking bunch of Marvel films.
Yeah, like I mean, I totally. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm not arguing for being reactionary to it. I'm just like, I don't think it's I don't think it's actually very offensive. I just think that it's just incredibly sloppy. Where you're just like, you didn't fucking think this through at all, and like, at very most, you're going to be made fun of for it because it's embarrassing. You know, like just don't like think through what you're doing. And then Netflix is obviously, I don't know, just pour money on it. It's gonna be fine. And it doesn't work like that.
They kind of think that way. I don't know if they think like that anymore, but they definitely.
Yeah.
Well, there was a Netflix, a South Park thing what they did. It was like 1-800 Netflix, you're greenlit.
Yeah, 1-800 exactly.
Oh, that's
did.
so great.
Like the thing is, like I would be even like because
It doesn't answer the phone, you're greenlit.
because they take the movie Alienation. Like Alienation is basically, like you're saying, it was exactly the same setup, but they knew that they were in kind of tricky territory, so they actually spent time to think about what their metaphor is.
Right.
Like, and so they're just like, okay, so like let's use this to actually try to evoke real issues. Instead,
yeah.
like Bright's like, oh, it's just a fantasy, so just don't think about it too hard. Well, by not thinking about it too hard, it turns into a fucking mess.
Well, yes, but listen, this subject has been done many, many times. I think the best one that ever addressed this exact metaphor and this issue was District 9.
Exactly. Like you can do this, like
especially because it is in South Africa.
Yeah, like you can do this
with apartheid.
Right. And the other thing is, like, you can, if you think about what you're doing, then you can be daring. Right. You know, and District 9 has a lot of powerful things to say because they bothered to be responsible in what they're saying. And whereas like Bright, it's just there was like the whoever wrote the thing is so lazy that they're just like, you know, wouldn't it be funny?
Wasn't it based on a comic book?
Probably. It's just trash. It's just trash. And the thing is, it's not bad. It's not trash. Like no one should watch it. I'm just like, it's just junk. Like this, like you could do this and do it well. Instead, they just did sort of like a half-assed shitty job, and then it comes off as just lazy and offensive and stupid. And I'm just like, how do you spend almost $300 million with P&A, and nobody calls you on it?
Not their money.
It's just mind blowing.
It's not their money. It's decisions and then passed along to the next department.
Right.
So because people who are doing P&A, they don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit. They just put Will Smith's face on it. I mean, whereas a movie like Devil in a Blue Dress bombs, right? And that is an incredibly thoughtful movie about its subject.
But to be truthful, they're probably just looking at it. Well, you know, I love the movie Devil in a Blue Dress, but it bombed. So
it bombed.
Let's just dumb it down.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it's I mean, I think that Netflix is. They've gotten more aware.
They also don't have the same. They don't have the same motivation the theaters do, right?
Yeah.
In the theater, you have to get it through the theater. You have a certain amount of time that it has to succeed, and then you got to move it out of the theaters, etc. Right. Netflix can put something up and it's like, all right, it's still on there. And you can continue to watch it as many times or whenever you want to.
They're also in the business of building a studio, so they need volume. So they're just
they're just
get it
pass it along. If it's bad, it's someone else's problem. Yeah, exactly.
Volume. And that's cool, I guess, if you're making tanks for the military and other things. But,
right.
Eventually, it's not great.
Yeah. Oh, it's I was just Max Landis is the person behind Bright who wrote it, and that's not a surprise at all. Like the guy's like I don't know Max. I'm not saying anything again. I just know that
you're saying he's a tool.
I'm saying that the things that he has been involved
pretty
with
dismissive.
end up like
that's
this.
That's not the Dan I know.
It's not a surprising name to see associated with Bright. Is all I'm saying. I don't know the guy at all, and maybe he's a very nice guy. I don't know, but like it's the kind of thing where you're just like, oh well, okay, there you go. Yeah. Okay. People would be right to associate me with dumbass mistakes as well. So I apologize, Max. I don't know you, and I don't mean to throw you under the bus.
All right. I need to take a small break. We can play an ad, which I will be doing. And then we will get back to the Mighty Quinn. We still have a whole movie to go through in an hour. So we can do this. We can do this. All right. We're going to play an ad for 2 minutes and be right back.
Excellent.
And those of you who are subscribers, you will not get an ad. By the way, you should note a couple things. Guys, tell them about while I use the bathroom, tell them about the Patreon and about the subscription and all that stuff.
Absolutely. So everyone, we have a Patreon, which is /Martini Giant at Patreon, right? That's the address there.
Yes.
And for $5 a month, you get to be a member at our Discord, and you get to be part of the member lounge and get to talk with us directly about all sorts of random stuff. And if you are a member there, then you don't have to see ads here. So please look into this and help us out. Like, it's great if you subscribe to Twitch. It helps us out even more if you subscribe to our Patreon. And we will in the future be doing stuff like offering up drawings and new merchandise and all sorts of stuff to keep an eye on. So please take a look at that. We're also obviously available on Twitter and what else? Instagram. And we have a Facebook page you can chat us at. We're pretty Twitter oriented though when we chat back and forth. So please feel free there. And our Discord link is on
Discord,
our
though, we're catching a lot.
Yeah, Discord's actually really pretty great. We have a great community there. We're very proud of the fact that people have pointed out to us that unlike many other film Discords, like it's not filled with jerks. Like there's not a lot of combative film discussion there. Like it's people that are really having a good time sharing funny memes and talking about stuff that they love. So if that sounds unusual for you, then please check out our Discord. We do have a great time there virtually every day. So there it is. Yeah. That's my pitch. Was that all right? That's pretty good. I don't bitch about Bright all the time on Discord, is what I'm saying. I get it all done right now, and then I'm done. Bright wasn't that bad. It's just a shitty movie. I don't know why I got so hot under the collar about it. It's just
You're getting hot under the collar. Why?
I don't know. I just get feisty about that kind of nonsense. I'm just the thing is, I mean, Bright's the kind of movie that I would want to be good, and then it just then they just fucked it up. It just makes me mad. I don't know why. I get fussy about stuff like that. That's the way it goes. Yo.
Okay, sorry about being
that's all right.
Delayed. We're back. So where were we? Okay, at one point he's complaining to the mayor again. Chalk is the name of the mayor. Mm-hmm. And Emmett Walsh shows up, who is just
yeah. And anytime you have Emmett Walsh, you have a good movie. Like that's just the law.
He's almost it's like he came right out of Blood Simple, and then they put him into this movie.
There's even a reference to. It's the same fucking thing.
He's wearing the same outfit.
And then there's a shot. It's not Emmett Walsh, but there's a old Volkswagen that's following Denzel Washington, and it's exactly the same.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. I'm just like, this is Blood Simple. You guys just saw Blood Simple, and you're like, let's film that because we got Emmett Walsh in here.
Yeah. So he shows up, and he's like, I'm just here to help with the investigation. And so he's forced to take this around. They go visit Ubu Pearl, who I love. First of all, I love her name, Ubu Pearl, right?
Ubu Pearl, yeah, she's great, and Esther Roll, absolutely terrific actor.
So she's playing like the character that looks like the the caricature of like the voodoo witch doctor kind of lady, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she lives in a shack and she's in a wheelchair and she's got this raspy voice as I put a hex on you, you know.
Yeah, she's funny. She's funny.
Really good. But the reason she's important is that her niece or granddaughter is dating Maoby, right? Isola, I think is her name.
Yep, I saw that.
And so they're trying to find Maoby, obviously, to figure out answers, and she won't give us any answers. And you just see that she's kind of like not, she's not going to cooperate. She's angry at everyone. And then who's it? Denzel says, "What's in there in the basket?" And he tries to figure out what's in the basket. Like, oh, she's hiding something, and she goes, "Go ahead, take a look." She looks in there, and it's filled with snakes.
Yes.
Yes. Right. So that's an interesting thing. We also find out that Quinn takes the body secretly to the airport to get an autopsy done by this Chinese or Japanese
this actor you've seen 100,000 times.
Yeah.
Like he is this character actor. He shows up and you recognize his voice. You know this dude.
Yeah.
He just plays this role. This is who he is.
That's who he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he looks like someone from Blade Runner. He could be like, "You Blade Runner."
Yeah, he's not the
ice guy.
Yeah, he's not the ice guy, but he kind of likes him.
He is definitely the same acting school as that. Like he's a B movie character actor. He is terrific.
Right.
Look at the guy's name. Hang on. He's you've seen him in a million things.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of things, as you said, but he's very. His name is K. Luke.
Is that it?
Yeah,
he is. Yeah, like
he was in Gremlins. He was the guy who sold the.
He's the guy who sold the.
Sold the.
You
Gremlins,
recognize his voice instantaneously. Yeah. He's that dude. He's that guy. But I think that like it's safe to say like this movie, and this is not a criticism. It is a very broad movie in its characterizations of people.
TV film.
Yes,
it's a
TV movie.
It's a TV.
So like these things like they're not none of the stuff.
But I want to also say, but TV films were pretty good in the 90s and 80s.
Yeah, no,
like
they
were
fun.
well constructed, right? And they had interesting plots. Like,
yeah,
TV films now are trying too hard to be something that sometimes it's just they miss the mark so easily.
Yeah, this is actually a great point because like
a lot of things, though.
Right? Because like I don't need everything to be like a grand piece of cinema. Like sometimes I want it to be a fun little episode of Miami Vice. Like it's just like or Heart to Heart, where you're just like, this is really fun. This is just what I needed right now, and like this fits the bill really, really well. You still want it to be well made, like you still want it to be good.
It is,
but it's a certain there's a slight frivolousness to everything and a broadness to everything that makes it very easy. I think the
thing that's important is that back then TV movies or made for TV movies were not competing with theaters
with film. Yeah, exactly.
And now they are.
Right. Well, it's even worse because they're not competing.
I was saying there's too many competitors. So
they're actually trying to compete with actual big cinema movies.
Well, this is the thing: is they're not trying to compete with movies that are in cinemas. They're trying to compete with where movies went to. Like movies in theaters moved to Netflix, and so now everything is sort of in this big mishmash situation where like there's a clear difference between if you're watching like Love Is Blind and you're watching Blonde. Like those are two different schools of Netflix right there.
Sure.
Right. But like there used to be a clear line like that for between, I don't know, say you'd go to the theater and you'd see Coming Home, and then you'd go back to your apartment and you'd watch like Three's Company or whatever it was, or Falcon Crest. And like that was just easy to consume, fun, don't think about it too much TV. Right. And there's a role for that. Like it doesn't have to be 2001 every time. It's totally fine.
Right.
Like and Mighty Quinn is like the higher end of that stuff where you're just like, yes, this is TV, but it's really good TV that people will be talking about at the water cooler the next morning.
Yeah. Because first of all, it has these rich characters that we can, including now introduced to Emmett Walsh, right? And then all these, and then also it's just like, fairly well shot, right? And apparently the guy who wrote Blade Runner did it.
Yeah, right? That's hysterical to me.
Right. So the director
Yeah,
himself is much more of a TV director,
I didn't love this movie as much as you guys. I'll be honest.
Yeah, well, I think we would agree on what kind of movie it is, though.
Yeah,
like it's a very silly fun movie.
It's just it's to be honest, it's the kind of movie that is not a deep movie,
right?
But it's fun to watch, and I would totally have a good time watching.
Yeah,
this
it's
movie.
breezy. It's
right?
very breezy. It's very fun,
and it's what I needed after
While I was watching it, there was like in my head, all of a sudden it's like, we'll be arriving in New York City in about 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Flight attendants, prepare for landing.
Yes. Yeah. I think we completely agree on this experience. I think that's perfectly.
That's fine.
Buckle up. We're landing at Kennedy.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Okay. All right.
I'm very thankful for these kinds of movies as well.
So we go. I gotta get because there's some complicated stuff that happens. All right. So we find he's investigating. We find out the autopsy reveals that he did not, in fact, die from blood loss, but died from snake bite, and that the head was cut off after he was already dead.
Right.
Right. So I was like, So we're starting to put a few pieces together. Right. So
the guy says, just because you got your head cut off doesn't mean that's how you died.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, we find running through the town. There's this Latin guy named Jose Patina, who is acting suspicious because he is also looking for Maoby. So looking for Maoby is a big thing in here, and then looking for Daphne in the other one, right? So everyone's looking for Daphne or looking for Maoby, and it turns out this guy says, no, I'm just here on vacation, but he arrests him anyway, and then he gets bailed out, right? And so it's just the whole thing. But anyway, as he gets bailed out, then there's a scene where he's in this sleazy hotel and he's having a conversation with Miller, who is Walsh, right? And they're like having this conversation. So obviously the two of them know each other. And then Miller says, you know what? The operation is over. And the guy says, like, well, what do you mean the operation is over? And like, it'll be over when I tell you. It's like, it's over. And then Walsh just shoots him.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good scene. I like that scene.
There's actually that scene, and for me, like Tak Fujimoto's photography in this movie, he kept on referencing, I believe, Wells' movie there with what do you call it? Touch of Evil. There's a lot of Touch of Evil in there. 100% Touch of Evil in this movie.
Music's going.
Yes.
Next door. It's so loud.
Do you know what heroin is? Yeah, there's a very I don't think it's not as well photographed by a million miles as Touch of Evil, but I think that Fujimoto was having fun with it.
It's above what you would expect for this movie.
It's
for sure.
This is nowhere near Tak Fujimoto's finest hour, which is arguably either Silence of the Lambs or Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But he's still clearly having a blast doing it, and there's a lot of weird little experimental shots that I like,
especially the musical numbers. And this one I want to talk about as well is like at one point he gets when everything's going downhill, Denzel ends up going to one of the bars, I guess, or one of the places, right, where there's music playing, right?
Right.
And everyone shuts up because everyone hates him because has to found Maoby. Everyone loves Maoby, right? He's
he's after him. So everyone's like, "What the fuck are you going after Maoby for?"
And they know you're your best friend, but he's like the hero of the village, and was like, "You got to leave Maoby alone." So they're all sort of bitter at him, right? And so you can tell this is a situation. And on top of that, he's working with the governor, and the governor is clearly corrupted by the white man. All the situation, right?
Right.
And so he's completely let down, right? And we find out when his wife was singing with the people with the two back singers, it's like, "Are you going to play the piano for us?" And it's like, "Oh, but you're the best." And it's like, "No, I don't do that anymore." Right. But so then he gets up in this bar, and then everyone's quiet because he showed up, chief of police. They all hate him, and then he sits down at the piano and starts singing a blues song, right?
Right. Yep.
and it's great. It's a great setup. The way they did it, I love it.
Yeah, and he's having a good time. Like he's waking up as a character. He's like
waking up and he's talking about he's got the blues because he's like his wife left him.
Right.
Or he's he's
everything's shitty.
Everything's shitty. I have to go after my best friend. All that stuff happened. Right. I like how you're trying to get focused.
Yeah, get the focus back here. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
It's all right. And so he just keeps having this issue. And so as he's singing this song, then the rest of the band decides to join in with him, and he's like, "Yeah, great!" And so he starts singing, and then as they're doing it, they start to break. And they start playing the Mighty Quinn, which is a song that is really mocking him.
Right.
And he's like, "God damn it!" And so he gets upset about it. But then at the same time, they're like, "No,
we're singing this because we love you.
We're singing this because we love you." And they start hanging him a bottle of rum,
right? Because the woman who is tempting him essentially comes up, starts singing along, and the tone changes from one of like
mockery.
Cool to it, enjoying it,
right? And it was like, "No, we're doing this because we love
you. We all love each other. Everything is gonna be fine. Like we know you don't want to hurt Maoby. Everything is it's just the shitty situation,
right?" And it was a great number.
It's a great bit.
It's a great bit. It's a really nice little thing. Okay, so it gets kind of. I think we're gonna have to fast forward a little bit because it's a little complicated.
How long has it been so far?
We've got about 40 minutes left, but we tend to ramble about random stuff, so that's fine. So here's what he figures out. He figures out Quinn puts the pieces together, right? What he figures out is that there is such a thing as a $10,000 bill, right? And
but only printed
twice, right? But those bills have been taken out of circulation, but they're still legal tender, right?
Yeah, right. It's still worth $1 million.
It's still worth
real money.
$10,000 is still $10,000, and it's legal tender. So, but it's been taken out, and we find out is that Patina, who owned the hotel, actually is very close to the president of the United States, right? And that what he's doing is that he wants to fund some, guerrillas in Latin America that are anti-communist regime, but he can't get the funding to do it. So what he does is he takes it's very much Iran-Contra situation, which wasn't that long from there. So
a couple of years.
Yeah. So he takes the money that was out of circulation and pays them with that money, which no one can trace.
Right.
That it came from them. Right.
Right. Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars. And each bill, remember, is $10,000. So you don't need that much to make millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's one small bag.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Wasn't there? Hold on a second. What's the movie we've done? It's a Robert Altman film that also had some really large numbered bills in it.
Oh yeah. There's the Long Goodbye, right? Yeah,
Long Goodbye.
Yeah, right. Long Goodbye with the $5,000 bill.
Right.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Yep. Basically. And so it's really great that they have this sort of like they didn't need to include this sort of like subtle comparison, but essentially like you're living in this landscape is this whole island has learned to live with the sort of like the skeleton of colonialism is still there, and it still affects everything, and it still like interferes with their lives, and they're just trying to get by with all this stuff. And then the plot of the movie that's fucking everything up is essentially new colonialism. Like it's like this, like that like it hasn't ended.
The
like
new
colonialism.
Right.
This is like our adventures in South America colonialism.
Right. And the other thing that's also important is when he picks up his son from school, they have a great story about the snake. which
Yeah,
is
this
a
is
very
great.
important part. That's the whole thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, it's like, what do you learn in school today? It's like, I learned about this thing. Is right, that thing. It's like, that the white man, we didn't have snakes here, and then the white man brought that here because we were slaves. We're black people. We were slaves, right? Black people didn't live in Jamaica. They were brought there as slaves, right? And then they brought these snakes here to prevent us from escaping. But turns out that the snake can't tell the difference between a black man and a
Happy to
white
bite
man.
white people too.
And so it became a big problem for everyone.
So they bring in the mongoose.
The mongoose, right?
Right. And then they're like, they'll take care of the snakes. But it turns out that the mongoose is awake during the day.
Right.
And the snake is awake at night.
Right. Didn't work.
And the kid's like, here's the string. That's kind of how it is here, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's fucking great.
Right.
It's a brilliant little story.
So it was a great little
that
way
happens a lot, though, by people when they infiltrate, they bring animals in.
Oh yeah. But Australia is nothing but invasive species problems. The toad, the rabbits,
fish in like the Mississippi River. Actually, the cod or carp or
there's the Chinese carp over there.
Yeah, it's huge.
And then also there's the snake, the snakehead fish, which is all over the East Coast, which is from China, and it's devastating all the other fish. You're right.
There's if you ever want to see the most depressing documentary of all time, it's called Darwin's Nightmare, and it's about I think it's Lake Victoria in Africa, and how the entire ecosystem was destroyed because they purposefully brought Nile perch in there to farm them, and Nile perch are not very big fish naturally, but they overwhelmed the ecosystem, and now the Nile perch is it went from a fish this big to a fish the size of literally a pig, like a giant pig, and there's nothing left. Like all the Nile perch eat is other half-dying Nile perch, and that's it. And so they've destroyed the lake, and they've completely cordoned it off with barbed wire. They shoot anybody who tries to poach the fish. The communities around them are completely starving, and in order to keep people from trying to steal the fish, which they have way too much of, and they could be eating, they pay the fish people in guns to fight wars with the people that are starving. And it's fucking incredible. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. I just watched the movie and I was like, well, I suppose I could just die.
This is
recent. This is within the past 15 years. And
the carp thing I saw was ridiculous. I mean, they are
lionfish
huge.
too. Have you heard about the lionfish problem we have in the United States now?
No.
Oh no.
Yeah. So you know what a lionfish is?
No.
It's a tropical fish found in aquariums. You look up lionfish, you'll say, "Oh yeah, I know what that is. It's got all this spiny stuff on it." Right? And
okay. I'm looking at it now. Right.
Yeah. And so all over Florida, all the way up the Carolinas now. And they breed and they're very aggressive and they're destroying all of the ecosystems.
Jesus. Yeah.
Because, and where did they come from? Someone had it in their aquarium and they let it go in Florida. Dumped it. Florida is filled with people that dump their pets. Like we heard about the Burmese. Yeah.
The dragons or whatever.
Not the Komodo dragons, but the Burmese python. The Everglades is filled with Burmese pythons.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the mindset. That's the mindset.
Yeah.
Well, luckily that mindset will also end up flooding the entirety of Florida. So there you go.
I don't think any states, not to defend, I don't think any state's safe because these kind of ecological stupid shit happens
everywhere,
all over.
Yeah, and California.
What is it? The game and wildlife.
Yeah, you're right.
They make these because I saw this thing on the carp, the Chinese. What is it? Cod? A carp?
Chinese carp. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like these things are. They're huge.
Yeah.
And they interviewed a guy who was part of the original program, and he's like, "Yeah, we didn't think of it at that time." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of overwhelmed us a little bit, and it was like, "Yeah, I think it did." It's unbelievable.
Well, look at the rabbit fence and freaking
Yeah, in Australia.
Australia.
Yeah, the rabbit-free fence that they put up.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Okay. All right. So we find out the whole motivation. This is where the money is all about. It's all about trying to fund these anti-communist things. It's very Reagan-y. And then they're like, oh shit, now we're caught in the middle of this bullshit.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter, right? And so Maoby is still at large. Everyone is sort of working out. And then Miller or Emmett Walsh is on his way on a rampage to like, I'm done playing Mr. Nice Guy. He goes to go see Ubu, Pearl. Yep. It's like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And she's like, I'm not going to talk to you. At which point he traps her. And I should say that Asila gets, or whatever her name is, she gets away. But he burns down Ubu Pearl's house and her.
Right. Yep.
Pretty brutal. Gruesomely.
It's brutal. Yeah.
Pretty brutal scene, right? And then Quinn figures out that he's gonna meet Maoby at this abandoned place where they used to play as kids, and so they meet, and then he tells Maoby tells him the whole story. Basically, what happened is that Asila got pregnant from the guy who owns the hotel. Right. She was Ubu Pearl was angry at him. He says, you got to pay for making her pregnant, putting a baby in her belly. And he goes, I'm not going to pay anything. And then he goes, I put a hex on you. Turns out the hex didn't work. So at which point she goes to Asila and gives her a snake to kill him. Right. So she has these poisonous snakes, which we find out about first. She goes to the place and does that. At which point Maoby says, oh no, I gotta stop this from happening. He races over to stop it, but he gets to the hotel right as the guy's dying from the snake bite.
Right.
At which point he says, I got to protect her because she's going to get framed for this. So he decides to cut off the guy's head and throw him into the hot tub. At which point,
little mouse move there too, right? The same type of sidekicks.
And then so he's like, huh. And he's like, why did you put it in the hot tub? He's like, I figured if he boiled for a little bit, maybe it would disguise the snake bite.
Snake bite. Good thing. I'd go for that.
It's not a
bad idea. You never know.
Not a bad idea.
Cutting the head off.
Yeah. Cutting the head off was like, well, he died of, everyone said he cut the head off, right? So anyway, so at this point, as they're talking about it, helicopter shows up.
Which is total domino principle.
This whole scene is so domino principle.
Even the way they shot it. He's holding the gun to him. It's like heart to heart.
Yeah.
It's like, don't move. I got a machine gun on.
Emmett Walsh. It's like this. I was saying, like, it's like this movie is kind of Lethal Weapon 3 good, but I liked it. It's like, that's what I said when I was watching this. It was just like, once you have like Emmett
Which
Walsh,
one was Lethal Weapon 3?
That's the one with the housing. Like it's the evil house builders. It's really terrible. Also notably racist against Asians.
Right.
But it's
2 was with the South African and the
that's a pretty good one. That's a good one. That's a good. The first one's great. Second one's very good, and then after that they're really, really, really bad. But this is about the same. The end of this movie is very, very mid 80s action.
Late
nonsense. Late 80s.
This movie came out 89.
89.
I thought you were talking about Lethal.
Yeah, no, Lethal Weapon is 84? 86?
Yeah, it's pretty early.
No. The other ones are a lot late 80s. 86 was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's still a really good movie, and that's a really
Those
good
are
movie.
great films.
Yeah, it's a really fun movie. Although my vote, this has nothing to do with anything. My vote for best buddy cop movie of the 80s, nobody has seen, and it's called Running Scared with Gregory Hines, Billy Crystal.
Oh, I've seen that.
That's a great movie. I've seen it a million times. Great film. That's the one. I mean,
I thought you were going to say the Dreyfuss movie. What was that one?
Stakeout. Stakeout's pretty good. Stakeout's not bad. Yeah. But if you want to see the good one, then I would strongly recommend Running Scared. Lethal Weapon, most people don't want to watch because they hate Mel Gibson now. But it's a very good. It's still a very good movie. Running Scared is a better movie than that, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So helicopter shows up. Emmett Walsh shows up like the CIA, right?
Right.
It's so silly. It's so fun.
So silly. Let's just get through it. It's funny. And so Maoby hides. Quinn goes out there, like, with his shirt blowing with the helicopter, so you can see his handsomeness.
Yes,
right?
handsomeness. That's the focus, really.
Yeah, white shirt, very dark skinned body, very toned.
Yeah, he's looking great. He looks
looking great. Just one button holding it together. Yeah. Just like
he's the opposite of the reason why you cast him.
The button is
the tight button. Everything else is just like this. Yeah, it looks great. There's no argument. Great. And like I think you cast and then you in contrast to Emmett Walsh. Yeah, exactly. Who's like the frumpiest.
Yeah,
like
he might as well be a troll coming.
He's like a crypt keeper, right? Yeah. And then he's directing the helicopter in and all this kind of nonsense.
Yeah, but that was like directing a helicopter.
Oh yeah,
he's like
18. He was 18.
Yeah, he's like the Baron and Dune.
I ain't getting exactly, Dave. Exactly. Yeah, he's seriously like it's so at this point. This is the silliest the movie gets, and it's like at some point in the scene, this helicopter is exploding. Like it's going to happen. Like there's no way out of it.
It's like the A-Team. It's the A-Team.
That's what I said. It's totally the A-Team. And it was just like, but they changed the tone as soon as we went to that action side.
Yeah, like
it's like, wait a minute.
It's like the movie up until this point has been sort of like a very thoughtful, together, good TV movie, and then it turns into like the TV movie that you really want to see when you're drunk. But I still endorse it. I think it's very, very funny.
Oh yeah,
I'm Dan Thron, and I endorse this picture.
I'll be sending lots of emails about this. Please vote for this movie.
Yeah. No, this is not a for your consideration movie. Let me just put it.
No.
For your afternoon viewing is what it more is a better description.
Yeah, this movie, like, it makes Cool Runnings look like a documentary about Jamaica. Like, so this is also, by the way, another excellent movie that I love. Cool Runnings. Cool Runnings is terrific.
About the sled team,
about Jamaican bobsled team. So yes,
with
John Candy.
John Candy.
That's an excellent.
Which was also, by the way, a framed thing or way back when. I don't know if you remember that, but I was like, what the fuck? Because I was trying to look. I was like, yeah.
Didn't they make a musical out of that? No, I'm just kidding.
They could. That's a really sweet movie. That's a very silly Disney movie, but it's very
last fun. Movies, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
very, very likable.
Candy.
But that looks like the Deception versus the end of this.
Didn't John Candy die when he was filming a Western? Yeah.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in New Mexico.
92, 93.
No, it was 94, and I'll tell you why. Because
you were working on the legal team for O.J. Simpson at that time.
That's why. That's what it was.
Yeah.
The photos. Yeah.
The reason I know why is because that was when I was doing my road trip thing that I was doing, and he died in New Mexico, and I was in New Mexico at the time.
That's wild, dude. That's too bad. Candy was great. He was great.
He was great.
In fact, I would say I didn't even appreciate how great he was until after he was
I'll
gone.
be honest, I was so shocked, and it was very sad. At the same time, I was like, yeah, because he was very heavy.
He's big fella.
He's a big man.
Big man. No two ways about that.
Yeah. What's your favorite John Candy?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah.
I have a thing for Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck is very good. Uncle Buck is great. I think that's actually the best John Candy. Just raw John Candy. Yeah.
Because he's acting. Planes, Trains is great.
Yeah, but Planes, Trains I like overall better as just a big good movie. But I think that
his actual character
for him himself, he is
Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah,
I believe they're both by the same director, right? They're both by what's his
John
name?
Hughes.
John Hughes.
Yeah,
I think so.
I don't know if Plane Trains is or not.
Trains is.
Yeah,
it's John Hughes. Okay,
I believe it is.
All right, this is why I told you we needed more time. So helicopter shows up. We're like last 5-10 minutes left of the actual movie. It may take us longer to talk about it.
It's the last run around the wagon. We're gonna get there.
So helicopter shows up. A button's barely staying on Denzel. He shows up, has a gun. It's very comical. Has a gun to his face and goes, "It's bigger than you." It's like, "Why are you doing this?" It's like, you're nothing. I don't care. I'm not going to kill you. You're nothing. This is way bigger than you. This is like, basically telling him you're inconsequential. You little silly black man living in this teeny island.
Yeah. Who do you think you are, Jamaica?
we are Americans.
Right.
We are controlling everything. So it's a very anti-colonial American thing being said here, right?
Americans in general in this movie are buffoons, but this is finally lands like it's the ultimate force of America as a colonialist nation is what's on trial here.
Right. So then finally after that all happens. He's looking like, give me Maoby, right? And then at which point Maoby's on the roof of the building, has his backpack with him, and starts pulling out chunks of money and just throwing it up in the air like confetti, which is of course infuriating because like every handful of money is like, $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Hundreds of thousands of dollars going up in the air.
It's going up in the just right. And so this is like freaking him out. Anyway, at which point he fires at him. The bag falls. Emmett Walsh grabs the bag, puts whatever money he can find around, shoves it in there, and takes off.
Right.
And just says like, "Yep, I'm done," and gets in a helicopter and he leaves. It's like we're done with this. At which point Maoby, for some silly reason, this is where it goes total TV show. You got to have some guy hanging from the bottom of the freaking helicopter.
What are we doing?
Where's
the hanging from the helicopter?
Why do you have to jump after the helicopter? He does jump after the helicopter, hangs on to the helicopter. Quinn says, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, "I can't let go now because the helicopter is too high." Right. And so they fly over the water and he's trying to hold on, at which point Walsh notices that he's there because he can see the shadow of him under the on the water.
Right.
It's like, oh, he's hanging on. So he puts his gun, starts firing towards Maoby. Maoby falls off the helicopter into the water, which is survivable.
Presumably dead, but
very survivable if he wasn't shot. Right. And then the next scene is Quinn is with his son at the beach and starts telling him about the legend of Maoby.
Oh, but we have to say what's in the helicopter.
What's that? Right. I'm sorry. Right. Yes. So in the helicopter, the snake comes out of the bag, bites the pilot. The pilot is in seizure from dying from the snake, and the helicopter crashes and explodes.
That's totally A-Team.
That was
A-Team, domino principle, all of that. Yeah.
It was like the
most 80s gag I've ever heard.
The helicopter doesn't go down in the water. It flies, curls around, and hits directly towards the old stone rotted building for maximum, explosive photographic effect. Yeah. It's really great.
And it's like a giant diesel fireball.
It's huge. It's not a crash. Yeah, it's like a detonation. It's amazing.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I spoke to there was a famous something Ford, I think, but he does a lot of the practical. He's like one of the famous practical effects guys in Hollywood. But he was telling me like about all these explosions. Like most of the explosions they do are done with just a massive amounts of diesel fuel.
That'll do.
That's what gives you all the flames and the smoke and everything else.
Black smoke,
because if you do other kinds of explosives that
gasoline's too white,
clean, you need dirty stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how they make all that smoke.
Nice big oily nasty explosion.
Right. Exactly. And that gives you all the contrast in the film and all that.
Right.
And he doesn't sound quite like that. So the sound is added for a different kind of explosion.
Right, because it's more like a big boom.
Right.
Like it's just like...
It wasn't poorly shot, the explotion. Because
it was great.
It looks cool.
It was great. But it was the most...
best episode of A-Team ever.
Yeah.
It's great. B.A. Baracus dives out of the way just in time. Right. Slow motion.
Yeah.
Giant explosion. Makes sense.
Right. So that's the helicopter crashes, but we don't know what happened.
The thing is that if you take Emmett Walsh with an Uzi seriously, you are also going to enjoy the explosion.
Right.
Like you're already in the right movie.
Right. You don't have to necessarily take him seriously. You just have to enjoy the fact.
You just have to enjoy it. Yeah, right, exactly. At that point, it stopped referencing Blood Simple and started referencing Domino Principle.
Domino Principle.
Yeah.
Right. And so at this point, Quinn is telling, grieving his friend loss. He's telling his, he's reconciled with his wife. He's come home. She's accepted him back in. He's like,
Well, he's coming in like he's drenched, right?
he's like the tomcat, like
right.
yeah.
Doors open, and like it starts off on bare midriff of Denzel Washington, side lit, with like he's got his open white shirt, and he's just sort of like trying to tuck it together like he's a school kid. Like he's like, I'm so sorry, right? And he starts flexing at the same time, crawls all the way up his chest to his lonely little face, and like eyes like blinking like this, and his wife's like, you had me at Denzel Washington, and then that's the end of the movie. You can't. I would say, how can you say no? It's ridiculous. Like the camera, like you Tak Fujimoto is like laughing while they're doing the pan. Like it's just fantastic.
What was the scene from Coming to America when the guy's all wet? And remember that?
Yeah, exactly.
They did the same thing in Coming to America.
Same thing.
Except that this was Denzel Washington, much more attractive. Anyway, it was very funny. But then he has a scene with his son on the beach, and they're talking about the legend of Maoby, and he goes, "We never know what he is, and how Maoby could wait for fruit to fall from the tree. He knew exactly what to do. It just misses all this legend." And as it's like, you don't know what happened to him, where he is. And as he's walking down, you see footprints coming out of the water next to a rock and then stopping. And then there's a $10,000 bill on the rock. And that's how the movie ends.
Right. So you think maybe Maoby's alive and coming back for Mighty Quinn Part 2, Episode 2.
Right.
But sadly,
they only made $4.5 million in the box office, so no, that didn't happen. But nonetheless, I still recommend, like, if you see Mighty Quinn, sit down and have a good time.
It is a super enjoyable movie. It's loads of great characters.
You're gonna have a good time watching this film. Or if you're on a plane, and as Eric said, and Mighty Quinn is available, watch it.
Watch it. The flight will go right by. Yeah, it's great.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
That's the thing. Because I mean, like I said before, I'm like Devil in a Blue Dress is a really great film. That's a really great film.
It's a good film.
And like I think that's the deep experience that has a lot of social commentary, has great central performance, loads of awesome great sets, great film noir. Everything's great about that movie.
Yeah.
And then as the come down, Mighty Quinn, have a hot dog, hang out and drink a beer.
So to me, Mighty Quinn was a fun movie that was just like, when you finish watching it, you're like, yep, I had fun.
That's all right.
I had fun, and I don't have to feel depressed after watching Mulholland Drive.
Yeah,
which I loved Mulholland Drive.
But for days that haunted you.
Days it haunted me. Mighty Quinn does not haunt me.
Yeah. Did you have a problem with Mulholland Drive?
No,
not a bad problem. You loved it, right?
I loved it. It's just that it haunted me.
It's a heavy movie. It's a heavy movie.
Yeah.
So it's a real experience.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way. I was just like, because I watched Devil in Blue Dress first, and then I watched Mighty Quinn. Initially I was like, this isn't as good as I remembered. But then by the middle of it, I was like, I'm glad it's not as good as I remembered. This is just fucking hysterical.
What, Mighty Quinn? Yeah.
Mighty Quinn. I was like, this is great. It's a great movie.
Yeah, no. To me, honestly, what I liked about it was, there was something about the cinematography, like everything is really not the best.
Yeah, it's fine.
But everything was good enough that it was like this, like the cinematography, the opening shot is like,
it was the Milwaukee's best of entertainment.
It was the come on over, we're having a barbecue movie. Like that's what that is.
There you go.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Come on over, we're having a barbecue movie is a great way to put it.
Yeah,
that's absolutely. Yep, we got some domestic beers in a cooler.
Right.
And there's some chips and salsa, and my grandmother's onion dip. I'm like, yep, it's very good onion dip. I've had onion dip before. That's a pretty good one.
That's a good one. And exactly. And then by the time you get to the end of the movie, you've had enough beers that you're like, Emmett Walsh with an Uzi is exactly what I want to be watching.
Yeah, this is how it needs to
be. Now in a limited run on Broadway.
Like that's like, if I ever wanted an action figure, it would be Emmett Walsh with an Uzi. I think that would sell itself.
With like some sort of like Three Musketeer bar in his other hand.
Yeah, exactly. Like this. He's got the cowboy hat from Blood Simple.
I love the nougat. Stand over there.
Hey, not that mother scratcher. Yeah. There's a spherical object arrested on the highway. Yeah, it's like that's what I want. Yep. So that was a great time. And like I said, like watching it on Tubi was like Tubi is
I think Tubi is underrated because you know what?
Tubi is fucking great, man. That is my home
because
channel.
yes, so just people don't know. I don't know if it's available everywhere in the world, but Tubi, it's Tubi TV something.
Yeah, Tubi.tv, I think.
Tubi.tv or something like that. And you don't even have to sign up or anything. You just watch it right there.
It's all free. And then as everything is going with ads
supported.
now,
It's ad supported. It's not that intrusive as ads. In fact, I would say that Tubi's ads are less ads than you have on satellite or normal TV.
We are not. We are not paid by Tubi. This is not an ad for Tubi. But I can tell you right now, just at the front page right now, I can see John Wick 2. We got scroll down. You got Deadpool 2, The Rundown with The Rock, which is a fucking great movie. You like the instant good movies. Devil's Rejects.
Yeah,
all free.
And then it also has things that like are not necessarily available, like the Mighty Quinn.
Like
right?
Mighty Quinn.
You can't find it everywhere, and so they're like,
100%.
oh yeah, pick it up.
Yeah.
So that's a good place to go. The other thing I want to talk about actually just came up on our Discord. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put our Discord link and the thing while we're talking about it. But someone was talking about sorry, I'm putting this link up in our chat right now, so please join our Discord. Someone talked about Canopy, and Canopy is awesome, right?
Yeah, Canopy is incredible.
So I highly recommend Canopy, and what Canopy is with a K is that it is based on the library system in the United States. So what you can do is if you have a library card, you can get a free subscription to Canopy, and you can quote unquote rent for free up to 10 movies a month.
Yeah, it's great.
And they are very deep to the point of like, I'm wondering if I even need to keep Criterion anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they basically are the Criterion. It's like Criterion Collection.
We'll ruin it.
Yeah, it's true.
Wait a minute.
Well, I mean, because the thing is, Canopy used to be as many movies as you want, but the rental companies, the streaming companies, stepped in and said, like, this is fucking over our business. You have to stop this,
right?
Public library, and so they did, and which is too bad. Yeah, they knuckled under. So don't spread the word too far.
Yeah,
but 10 movies a month isn't too bad.
Still good. That's still good. That's still good.
That's a movie every 3 days. You can do that.
Oh, dude, by the way, I'm still scrolling through Tubi. Tubi Cult Classics, Escape from New York, A Few Dollars More, Conan the Barbarian, Suspiria, Showgirls, Porky's, Reanimator, Akira, Trailer Park Boys. Holy shit.
It's just everything.
And Buffalo 66.
Whoa.
They got it all, man.
Doozler.
They got it all free. That's fucking this goddamn channel. Why am I paying for Netflix? Netflix is just like the two things I watch on Netflix are Blonde over and over again, Mank, and Great British Bake Off. That's it. Those are the two things. Those three things are the two things.
Oh,
I love that show. Oh my god, I can't stop.
Canopy has got Moonlight, Lady Eighth Grade.
Yeah, they have really obscure shit.
I have not. Yeah,
obscure shit.
Very obscure stuff. Like very like almost Race Central Park 5. Leave No Trace.
Yeah, Leave No Trace is great. Leave No Trace is great. Yeah, like in fact, I'm looking at because it's Caesar Saladius. I'm not sure exactly how you want to run that together, sir, but there it is. Here is the list that he put together on our Discord. Is if you go to our Discord, he's posted his Canopy list,
which is like 500 films.
Phenomenal! It's phenomenal. So obscure and some really great really great, weird films on there.
There's a lot of very obscure films on there.
Yeah, that to me is that's the official Martini Giant cult movie list right there.
Donnie Darko's on here. Boy, Chinatown's on here.
We should try to do sponsorship with these guys.
With Canopy?
Dude. Yep.
Yeah, talk to them and say,
Canopy or Tubi.
Columbus is on here. We do that.
Oh, dude. Yeah, so basically this whole last quarter of the podcast is just talking about how awesome these services are, and they're free. Because
and if you want to break free from the Netflix, Hulu, HBO, there's more out there. And, and the two we just described, which was Tubi and Canopy, both are free. And Canopy is not ad supported. It is just...
You just go
We're going to get a knock on the door tonight, Chris. Somebody from Netflix is going to come.
Exactly. Can't have that.
Harold and Maude.
We don't like the way you're talking out there.
Lavender, Melancholia.
Yeah.
Orange and Sunshine, Colette.
Dude, Jeff, I could show this. If I could show you the screen right now.
Thing is it? I can't find
Tubi has.
Yeah, I'll put the canopy list in our Twitch
Discord
chat.
Oh yeah, Twitch chat. Yep.
Since we're on Twitch right now, we're streaming, guys.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. What Tubi has, and this is direct Martini Giant stuff. Tubi has Bad Boy Bubby. Tubi has Bad Boy Bubby.
Okay, right.
Wow.
There you
go to Tubi. That's
wait a minute. My question for you is the list on our Discord. Which channel is it in?
That's in general, I think.
It's in general, yeah.
Anyway, come to our Discord. It's great. We have so many things there.
A lot of stuff being discussed. There's been the Squid and the Whale. I'm just sorry. It's disaster. Election is on Canopy.
Yeah.
The Alchemist. Lords of Chaos.
Yeah, it's really because like I just can't. I have to trim down how much I'm spending on streaming services because it's just embarrassing now.
I'm actually I hate to say it, I may give up Criterion for a few months because I'm just not watching enough.
I have been watching way more. I've been watching way more. Maoby is great.
Maoby is
not
pretty
Tubi.
Great.
Not Tubi. Maoby you pay for has a really weird, eclectic collection of films. Like I really do love Criterion is fantastic, but it's mostly like the stuff is classic. It's on Criterion, like and these things,
But actually, HBO has some.
Well, HBO is pretty
used to have it.
I'm actually thinking about dumping one too, and I don't want it to be.
I dumped Disney Plus.
Yeah, I never had that.
I'm still hanging on Disney Plus because Andor is actually quite great. And Andor is the one Star Wars that I can really stand behind. That's a really, really, really great show. But other than that, I'm out. I'm definitely on that. Like, and HBO, I'm hanging on to because they are still like HBO. But the moment they become even more like Discovery Plus, I'm out. Because man, I cannot see another like house flipping show up in my stack. Like, there's already 30 of them. Like it's just slowly rotting away. So I'm not sure. I think I'm going to end up with Canopy and Tubi
That's Netflix
and
you're
Maoby.
talking about.
No, it's HBO. HBO is jam-packed with Discovery.
HBO is turning into Discovery. It's turning into Duck Hunters and all that crap.
I go through all my stuff, and I'm like, God, where's all this crap that I would never see?
Garbage, pure garbage. Like I'm going to hold on to HBO as long as they have Succession and maybe one or two other things. Yeah.
I love White Lotus too.
Oh yeah,
White Lotus is the new season. Karen and I want to watch the new season. It was funny. We watched. Brady said, "I want to watch House of Dragons." I was like, "Okay," because I know. And we watched Rings of Power, right?
Oh yeah.
And he's like, he kind of liked Rings of Power. I was like, which by the way, I watched Rings of Power, and I was like, 60 million per episode.
I'm gonna listen. There's some good stuff in that show.
There is,
but it's mostly extremely boring.
What?
It's very boring.
It's very boring. That's a very boring show. That's an expensive, boring show.
Which show?
Rings of Power.
Lord of the Rings show that Amazon.
I'm not watching that crap.
It's worth
super expensive though.
I hear the last episode is great. The first maybe 2 episodes were okay.
Well, if they tried to stick to a single storyline and try to keep it simple, they could have saved a shit ton of money and probably had more people watching.
Yeah.
Correct me. That was $1 billion, wasn't it?
Yeah, near to $1 billion for the entire first season.
60 million per episode.
That's like
nuts,
dude. Like you'd be making a really good movie with that money, and they're doing it. Like it's like they I don't know. I got to the middle of episode 2, and they just ran into this wall of false drama where it's just like people were just arguing for no reason. It went on and on and on. And I was like, I'll check back in, and then shortly after that, everyone's like, this just turned into boring trash. So I'm just like, I'll check back in later, guys. That's fine.
But anyway, Brady said he's like, I want to watch House of Dragons because apparently one of his friends has been all into Game of Thrones, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
okay. And so did you watch House of Dragons?
I have not watched it. No, I'm not. I didn't like the show. I didn't like. Okay. I really love the books. I love the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, books. And so and listen, it's fine. But he's like, house opening shot, dragon, perfect, awesome. There's a dragon, great, loving it, etc.
Dragon.
And then after that, it's nothing but sex and dismemberments and blood and
maybe I'll watch it.
and then it's very Game of Thronesy, right? Sure. And then Brady was like, when they start cutting a baby out of someone's stomach. He's like, I'm done.
That's
I'm
enough.
done. I'm
I
done.
need to see that part. That's the thing, dude. It's just like when I was watching Game of Thrones, when I watched the first season, I was like, so it's all right, it's fun. But like the books, I love the books, and watching the show was like watching the Rushmore version of the book.
Well, exactly. Okay, hold on. It's exactly right. So the first season was like a verbatim cheap version of the book,
like
right?
Book report.
Because they didn't have any money, and that's what they did, right? But then the second season, after the success of the first season, was significantly better. Okay. Okay. It was better.
Sure.
And so they took it, and then they was like, okay, we'll do the same thing where we're going to be just like the book, but we'll be much better. And they guess I have more money, etc. By the time they got to the third season, they were starting to say split slightly from the story. And in honestly speaking, the character development got really good. Third, fourth season were really good.
Great.
And then they went full ridiculousness to the point where it's like, oh my God, really?
Because they ran out of ideas.
Well, no, because they ran out of books. Because
they had to start making stuff up.
They had to start making stuff up, and they realized, like, oh, if we don't have the foundation of the actual books, we don't really know what the hell we're doing.
It turns out we're not as good writers as George R. R. Martin, and that's just how it worked. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Like I that's why. But the reason why I'm not watching, I'll watch House of Dragons if it gets all the way to the end, and everyone goes, I watched the entire thing, and it was really good. Then I'll watch it. But I'm not going to be trapped on a fucking crashing roller coaster like Game of Thrones. Like, that's just silly. I'm gonna wait till they're done, and if it's good, I'll watch it then. Like, like it's risky enough to start any other show, but like these guys have a terrible track record, so I'm just not gonna bother until it's all finished.
The
showrunners. I mean, it's just like they fucked it up the first time. I'm not gonna bother. Like, there's plenty of other things to watch. I don't need to get hooked on this.
People loved it.
I don't know. I mean, like the thing is, like, I'm sure
I loved Game of Thrones.
Like Game of Thrones
up to a point.
Sure. Like
I said, I told you my exact history.
The story of the books is extremely compelling.
I read the books too.
Right. And so, like, it's good. It's a good story. So I can understand people getting hooked. Yeah, like getting hooked on it makes a lot of sense. But also, it's sucking after they didn't have any more books. Also makes a lot of sense. So like, I wasn't surprised when it sucked. And also, like, the fan base was quite aggressive. Like, they were a pain in the ass to do it, and I was just like, that's the truth of everything. I know. I mean, like, I'm not saying don't watch the show because the fan base is bad, but I was just like, no one was pulling me into watching that show because many people were being douchebags about it, and I was just like, enough.
Sorry, I'm still browsing Canopy. Here's new to Canopy movies: The Immigrant, The Death of Stalin, A Black Jesus.
Yes, great.
Admiral Jester. Admiral Chester's Nimitz. I don't know that. It's a biography. God Knows Where I Am. 15 Minutes to Nowhere. Is that what it is? The Physician. There's No Evil. Carrie.
Yes.
Yeah. 1,000 Pieces. Oh my God. I'm Going to Break Your Heart. The Limey. The Limey's on there.
The Limey's great.
Derailed. Adam. The Kite Runner. All of Me.
So good.
All of Me is a great film.
Yeah, All of Me is great.
It's hysterical.
Yes. Wolf People, The Informer, Shadow Cut, Breaking Fast. I mean, this is great.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Why am I wasting money?
Yeah, I can't do it no more. Yeah, like okay, so popular world cinema on Canopy. Parasite, A Girl Walks Someone Alone at Night, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, In the Moon for Love. Yeah, Embrace the Serpent. Oh my God, it's just fucking endless. Yeah,
it's just
Ida, Let the Right One In, Downfall.
You just have to have a library card. That's all it is.
Yeah,
and you can get your library card online. You don't even have to go to the library to get it.
We better get a giant check from the government for doing this because this is a huge ad. But this is an absolutely terrific.
But it's
service.
The government. The government's paying for this, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Who's paying for Canopy? Right?
No, what I'm saying is that we should get a check from the government for advertising Canopy so hard.
Right.
Like, look at this. So there was free advertising. It's fantastic. But it is a great service. Definitely check it out.
Eric.
Yes.
You were telling us when you were a kid or a teenager or whatever, you used to go to the library to get Woody Allen films, right?
Oh yeah, I was like 9, 10. Because where I grew up had the first library to have
VHS tapes.
Well, I think they got both beta and VHS to cover their asses, I guess. So it was a whole half a floor. And it was just like any kind of, they brought every movie just
Right.
for the people of the town. And so it was like, I'd go in and I was allowed to take 4.
Right.
Wild card, I'd Scruggs it on 1, get Claire's name, be like, whoa, what's this?
Yeah, damn.
And then I would get
You're like Eric Romer is exciting.
Yeah. And then I would get, always a Woody Allen. So I've seen Woody Allen movies like over 30 times each one. The most I've seen is Broadway Danny Rose.
Yeah, which is an incredible film.
Lou, it was a Gulf station. And but yes, it was awesome. It was an incredible, and they had records so that you'd go up and they would have like the latest Stones album.
Parallax View is on Canopy.
I remember Parallax View as a kid.
Yeah.
God, I remember it from watching it last Thursday. So there it is.
I love it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for indulging me in this more chillaxing Saturday matinee type of films. I'm not necessarily saying these were great films, but it's what I needed to do because it was.
These are great. I mean, like I really actually I was
much escargot. I needed a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing is, like I already really enjoyed Devil in a Blue Dress when I had seen it. Seeing it again, I'm like,
yeah, that was great.
This is way up on my list. It's
very good. It's very, and I did think that the black man colonialism and the black neighborhood, there was a huge parallels between these movies.
They definitely fit together.
They complement each other.
Yeah, like there are different sort of like levels of production,
and they also both have interesting world building. And both world building, right? One is very much about Jamaica, one is about Los Angeles in 1948. Either of which you may not necessarily be familiar with.
Yeah, it's really, really rich stuff. And I would watch it in the order that I watched it because, like, you'll end on the fun one. Devil in the Blue Dress is the better one, but you'll end on one where you're like, hey, I'm at Walsh Explosions helicopter hanging off it. Fantastic.
Yeah,
good times.
It was a lot of fun.
Kick back with a good can of beer, and you'll be right on time. Right on time.
So we'll probably do we'll figure out the schedule. I know Thanksgiving and the holidays are starting to show up, so our time may start to get a little sporadic, but we'll figure that out. We'll figure out whether we do a watch party or an actual podcast next week. I just have to go through the schedule and see how all that goes. But thanks so much. Alicidra, thank you for joining us. Chad and Lisbeth and Jason, of course.
Yes,
awesome to see you. So it was a lot of fun to do this. And hopefully, we do spoil the whole films, but I really hope that you guys actually end up watching these films too, because they're fun.
Yeah, there's some good ones. There's some good ones in there.
And if anything, I think we made people possibly subscribe to Canopy. Or it's like, maybe I should look at Canopy, because seriously, this is free and no ads on Canopy either. This is like, wait a minute.
Good
deal. We need to start promoting the best easy movie lifestyle.
The best video store possible, and it's free.
Yeah. Enough of this Netflix nonsense, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Enough of that stuff. Because now Netflix is offering, and you can pay for ads. Now you pay less to get ads. I'm just like, now you might as well just have Tubi.
Netflix is fine if you just want to put on Frasier or Seinfeld in the background.
It's true.
It's very good at just
the Great British Baking Show
British Baking Show, or whatever.
Or watch Mank for 6 hours
or whatever,
multiple times.
Here's another one. Nailed It is hilarious to me.
Yeah, Nailed It is great.
That show became as big as it is.
Oh yeah,
it's hilarious. Because it was like. This show was.
Listen, realistically, I'm never getting rid of Netflix. There's too many things I actually do watch. And I'm just like, when I try,
something's got to hit the hatchet.
Something's got to. I think it's going to be on a rotation basis.
Well, the thing that's nice is that you can just stop it for a while and get it back later. Yeah. So I joined Apple recently because there's some stuff that my kids and my wife want to watch on Apple.
Oh, you have not seen Severance, right?
I haven't seen Severance yet, and
Severance immediately.
Okay, and so Severance is one of them, right?
Yes.
So that's fine. I dumped Disney because I'm like, I don't care.
There's virtually no point, right?
I don't care anymore.
I didn't do Disney, and you know why? because I just felt it was all Star Wars, and I didn't want anything to do with it.
Star Wars. It's all Star Wars and Marvel.
I'm not a sci-fi film guy.
I would
That's
say
not true, Eric.
You're a good movie guy.
Yeah, we have found a million sci-fi films that you like. You just don't like Star Wars.
You just don't like bad movies.
You don't like Star Wars.
The truth always is that in saying that I love science fiction movies, what I'm actually saying is I have a high tolerance for bad science fiction movies. Right. Like, that's all it means. We all love good movies. Like, you love The Man Who Fell to Earth, which is science fiction. You love Under the Skin, which is science fiction. You love
2001.
2001, which is science fiction. Blade Runner, which is science fiction.
You love Alien.
Yes, but it's just that you want them to be good.
You don't like Star Wars, and you don't like Star Trek.
I will happily watch something that is bad as long as it has robots. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So we understand that you will not watch bad robot movies. That's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I gave up on this, and I'm thinking about dumping Criterion because I'm paying a lot of money for it. Not a lot of money, but I'm like,
money, dude.
I'm getting. It's like, you know what?
It'll be on the rotation.
It'll be there if I need it. You know.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, I actually got my money's worth of Criterion just this past month because they had such an incredible selection of 80s horror movies.
They did had a really good.
I watched about 15.
But when they do their themes, that's another. What Criterion Channel does better than anyone else is they find these little.
They curate these little
curated groups.
Yeah,
right.
The curation is good.
I agree.
But I noticed that the other places are starting to do it. And do you guys notice that Prime changed their interface, their UI?
Oh, did they? I haven't looked. I have to look. Yeah.
They're saying because it was getting tired.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, like I think that I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a slot that will rotate out as Criterion, Shudder, Hulu, and I don't know, maybe Maoby. But I'll just have one active at all times.
It's just like Hulu is something that we've had for a long time, and there's always something on Hulu that stays with us.
Yeah, Hulu has some stuff. It's true.
Yeah, which is ironic because it's actually Disney as well. But including, by the way, Devil in the Blue Dress. That's where I watched it.
Yeah, same.
So anyway.
However, but what I'm going to do for you, Eric, is I'm not going to actually do this because it's illegal and I never recommend doing that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all of Andor once it's done, and I'm going to edit it down to, instead of the 12 hours that it is, I'm going to boil it down to a 3-hour science fiction movie, Star Wars, for you, and you're going to think it's as good as Michael Clayton.
So that's the Disney stuff.
That's Disney. It's the only Star Wars on Disney that I would say is worth watching.
I'll check it out.
I'm not gonna watch it.
I don't have it though.
It's super good.
I just don't have. You know what? I'm sure it's good. I just don't have the time, and there's so much other things I want to do. I'd rather watch White Lotus right now.
That's totally understandable.
Oh, it's so good.
And realistically, I would say that even Andor, like it's the first 2 episodes are a little bit too slow. So it's let me edit it down, 4 hours long, and you'll get a great movie.
Okay.
Michael Clayton Star Wars.
Do you think it would be a point where, like what you just said, that if everybody had the same kind of digital access, you could make an edit and those kind of decision EDLs you could send over.
You could send those.
And it would be programmed into their show.
Oh, you do it as an EDL? As an EDL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just send an EDL and then it's just like...
Yeah, and they can watch what you want to watch.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
Thank you. You're welcome. I hope somebody makes money from that and not me.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Because then you're not... No one's pirating anything.
Yeah, no. Right. You send an EDL and then it'll take an EDL and it'll take a Netflix thing you watch and just make it as an EDL.
And just an EDL. Yeah, that's a good idea. So that's a really good idea. Okay. That seems like it would be relatively easy to code as well. Can't be the hardest thing in the world. That'd be fantastic.
Oh my God. Brilliant idea.
Yeah, because if someone could go through, dude, like there's nerds out there galore who could edit long show. If you could get Breaking Bad down to, or actually no, but that Breaking Bad is not a good example. What is it? What's the HBO True Detective? True Detective season 1 as a 3-hour film it would be perfect. As whatever it was, 7 or 8 hours, like that was very long. But there is a 3-hour great film in there. That would be exactly what I'd want to see.
Yeah.
I love it. You're a genius, Eric.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. I know you, all the three of us are going to keep talking after this, so we have to keep this up. But let's wrap this up so that everyone else can enjoy the rest of their weekend. Or if you're listening to this post haste, please set a couple notes. I know we mentioned it during the ads or whatever. Please join our Patreon. I'd love to do it. Patreon.com/Martini Giant is the Patreon. That is a really great place to support us because most of the money comes to us. If you'd like to support us on Twitch, I suggest you guys do it through your free Prime. You get one free Prime subscription you can do. That definitely supports us as well. That would be really cool. But, otherwise, just enjoy the podcast. And also, by the way, we do have, there's a direct link to our YouTube. If you guys want to watch us on YouTube, just go to youtube.com/@ the @ symbol Martini Giant. So youtube.com @ Martini Giant. They just that's been added, and so you can watch the video version of this, which is if you want to see Eric's verbose hand gestures. That would
right on.
There you go. All right. It's actually mostly Dan. Dan's got the big.
I'm doing the big hands today.
Big hand gestures. Yeah, you do the big hand gestures. All right. But besides that, please, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I enjoyed it, and we'll stay tuned for next week. We'll let you guys know what we'll be recording.
Something super depressing, and we'll maybe do a double feature of.
Absolutely.
I say we do
Sophie's
dark.
Choice, and
exactly. Perfect. Love it. Yeah.
All right, but let's move on. So, all right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Drink.
Talk.
Drink.